And so we were just talking about the utilities. And you've got a question, haven't you?
Yeah, I was just wondering if you go through the process and start the ball rolling on that, and then, but one of the things that came up in my mind was, will they then try and contact the landlord of the building if you're renting?
So what you're actually asking there, in a very straightforward way, is there somebody else standing surety to the liabilities created in that legal fiction? Now, think about that magnitude of that question. Is there somebody standing surety to the liabilities of that legal fiction? You are. You've been standing surety to the liabilities of that legal fiction. Let's say the liability is in the legal fiction John Doe. Can I go to Jane Doe for the liabilities that are attached to the account named John Doe?
No, you can't. Right. So basically you're saying when the utilities then do contact the landlord, they're just trying to do that as another way of leaning on you?
They can't contact the landlord, can they?
No. Can they not?
The only information they've been given is what you've given them.
Right.
They don't know if you're in rented accommodation or not at this point.
So they can't. They can't kind of get the details off like land registry or anything like that.
No, I go back to the question. The landlord cannot be holding the liabilities of his tenant, can he?
No.
Because there are two separate accounts. Imagine two separate account numbers, not names now, numbers.
Numbers, yeah.
And the account number, let's say ending in 123, hasn't got the same information in it as 124, has it? That's the distinguishing. It's dividing that information into accountable bits of information. So, but the more important aspects of that question that you've asked is who's standing surety to those liabilities at the moment? Well, this is why we had a government, and we accepted to have a government, because the government and all of this trust structure was created to stand surety to the liabilities of the creditors of the legal fiction.
Right.
So the legal fiction really is just it's like a vessel or an account to convey one thing to another, one piece of information with another, to communicate these accounts together, these account numbers, to create this matrix system that we're all trying to get out of. Invest in our energy in by putting our credit behind that legal fiction. So the landlord is not liable for anybody else's liabilities. Even at that basic level, he doesn't know that he's been committing fraud and putting all of his rights behind the legal fiction. Even in legal fiction systems, I can't come to you for somebody else's debt.
But then say, for instance, I moved out and then he gets a massive bill then, doesn't he?
Minister Emoven should always stay at that property whether you're there or not. And I would leave a lovely little note on the door to say, Minister Emoven, this property is protected by universal law. All liabilities are discharged. Have a lovely time exercising your right of use, and give me a call if you want to know how to discharge the liability of the landlord as well. In fact, if you're moving out, then you should have got to the landlord and said, look, why are you asking me to pay rent on something that you're only going to go and take and pay electricity, gas, water, council tax with? Give the right of use to me instead, and I'll use my kindness credit account to stand surety to your liabilities. So the liabilities of that legal fiction then are then being stood surety to again by the trust. Now, going back to what you said about the kind of the landlord be held liable, the the real liability holder of these accounts really are us. Because we've been creating the liabilities by crediting the legal fiction and supporting our own slavery, like we talked about before. So the only people who can discharge those liabilities, because look at your government, it was supposed to be there to discharge liabilities, but when it became a corporation, it couldn't do that anymore. Not that it ever did it right anyway. Because otherwise you should never have had any liabilities. The whole point of having a government and a trust was so that the liabilities of existing in a commercial system of where we've consented to capitalism being committed upon our rights is really what the debt is that we are saying we're discharging. So none of this should have ever stepped into the private lives of the creditors who have allowed their share of the planet and its resources to be used for capital gain. So we...
Well, no, because I was going to talk to him about the rent.
Right.
Oh.
And what were you going to say to him?
Hello?
Hi, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I was going to say to him can you hear me?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you, love.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're clear now.
Yeah, so I was going to speak to him about the rent, but I've got an inkling that I don't know if he's got a mortgage on it or not, or whether he borrowed the money privately off like a friend.
Okay, so just don't go for the big one.
That's a different scenario anyway, isn't it then, in that case? Because he's obviously got some sort of trust with somebody else that's helped him in the past, because the banks were after him at one point, trying to get the building off him. So
you could help both of those people, couldn't you, with this, to release that chain of indebted mindset. That's all it is that you're doing. It looks like on paper your kind of credit account standing surety to him. So
okay,
let's say you're giving somebody £600 a month rent, and you ask them, what do you do with that? Well, I spend it on my gas, water, electricity, council tax, and I have to go and work as well, because it's not enough to then pay for my own mortgage or food for my children or whatever. So I have a job, my wife has a job, my partner has a job, and that's why I'm asking you for £600 a month. Well, what about if you had a look at this form with me, for the financial logic form for kindness credits revision, and just told me how much there are you covered with 600 quid or the rest of what you do, and instead of you working like a debt slave, let me stay in this property, exercise the right of use, the right of shelter here, and instead of me paying you 600, by my occupying, if you like that word, that property, my kindness credit account will stand surety to all of your outgoings. So instead of your little house or big house, shop, whatever, being worth 600,000, whatever, it doesn't matter, then it covers instead all of what your overheads are. Now that man or woman are keeping that in their mind, suddenly they can work out for themselves what that means to them and their family. Then, because somebody stood surety. What is it that was standing surety? The belief that you are a debtor, or that you have got some liabilities to some legal fiction that isn't even yours. And it's a massive thing to take a mind on such a journey, of course, but there are ways to do that, and these step by step, just an innocent conversation. You're interested, showing that you're interested, you care about somebody. Of course, it's going to have a benefit to you as well, but the benefit that you are paying forward, if you like, passing forward, is you're giving that that surety services, it's actually a surety services that you're extending to somebody. And that's really what backs your kindness credits. So when, you know, laughingly say about giving somebody a rock, if your knowledge of this and how you can use it to help people with, to break the slavery system themselves, then do you ever need anything else if that's what that rock represents? And so, you know, by just having that simple conversation, but ideally, you want to be standing there with a bill that's addressed to Minister Emoven from the local council at the address in Halifax. And there's your evidence that you have got something that you created to stand surety for you, and you're going to show him how he or she can do it for themselves.
Yeah, so I understand I need to have it, all the ducks in a line properly, because otherwise there's going to be too many open-ended questions that I don't have the answers for as well if I haven't actually gone through it.
Yeah, and that's, you know, that's so it's great that everybody's like, here's a bit, here's a bit, here's a bit, and I want to send kindness credits to somebody up a mountain. You know, we really need to seal each step. Like, okay, I can stand on step 1 and talk about it to that level, to step 2, and then whatever level it is, and you have obviously got people in the background who can get to the level that you're at. And if you don't know the answer, I don't know the answer. I'll find out for you.
Yeah.
Or, you know, here's a Zoom link. Go and ask her yourself, or ask one of the people who've done that step.
Yeah.
So, because what we don't want to be involved in is very draining, is presumption. You know, so and immediately that you talk to anybody about anything, not even if it's new or old or whatever, it's people have got this tendency to go, oh yeah, I know all about that. Well, all about what? I don't even open my mouth yet. And it's like, so, you know, the comparisons, we've been defining everything left, right and centre. So, and we have no definition of indefinable. Therefore, we've been defining the indefinable, and so what we're talking about getting to the point is of just, it is indefinable. So just, it looks like a rock, and let somebody ask you, you know, if you go running off and saying, well, it's this and it's this and it's this and it's this, let them tell you what first of all, what is to them, and you can pick up on where they are at the level of comprehension of what's going on. Just with one simple question, what is it that you do with that money that I have to give you each month? And they might turn around and say, bugger off, you cheeky so-and-so, it's my private business.
I know he's got 6 kids.
He's got a lot of mouths to feed, Dad.
Yeah. And a couple of them are nearly going to uni, or want to go to uni soon. So not that, well, he's been trying to talk them out of it.
Well, you know, for that, you've got common ground there, haven't you? You can say to them, right, okay, well, we're going to open a private education platform here at what used to be the bed and breakfast.
Yeah.
I'm so looking forward to that. I've been thinking about all that today. It's really a fantastic opportunity that you've got there to be able to offer the people in your community a place where they can bring the children and come as well and use it as a hub. And you know, let's stop dividing our families into, you go there while I go over here and work like a slave, so they can condition your mind so that you can replace me when I'm too old, so they can steal the house offers that you were going to inherit if I hadn't done that.
Yeah.
So, I think at this point in time, viewers to even just offer that open to homeschooling groups. There's people not in the too close vicinity, but surrounding areas, put it in the homeschool groups. They've got a big one for Dorset. And I think that you'll be able to offer a fantastic solution to the situation that's going on at the moment.
Yeah.
Now, some of the other questions, mortgages. Somebody asked, well, they didn't ask actually, they told me with a question mark in the end. I'm assigning my mortgage. Does that make you the trustee? No, it does not. You are, to laugh, we had a bit of fun though. You are taking back the responsibility of the thought that you were the debtor. And so to do that, I know it sounds like, oh, she's speaking cryptic and all of this sort. Just listen to the words. Don't think that they mean anything other than what I'm actually saying to you. That you created the debt with your belief that the legal fiction was yours, and that the debts that were created with that legal fiction were your responsibility. Now, because the attachment to that legal fiction is so great and the spell is so strong, when you talk to people about retiring from crediting that legal fiction, it's like pulling the slave out of the cave door, you know, that they want to hang on to the walls. Purely and simply, you are the only being, thing, and definable thing that can discharge those charges, because it is your mind that believes that those charges are yours. And so scale that up now to the structure that you can see or think you know, inside out, back to front, the ecclesiastical prism hierarchy system. There is a bankrupt company, corporation, inside this sketch, let's call it, drawing. And so what happens to bankrupted companies inside there, you all know, all of their assets are secured. You were their asset, and you were, your mind was secured enough in that system for them to be able to gamble upon what you were going to choose, what you were going to do next. You were a quantifiable commodity inside their game of, let's call it casino or monopoly. So when you stop, when you say, I've retired from crediting that legal fiction, it's you've retired from accepting to perform obligations that normally the debtor or the obliger would be obliged to perform. So I put a post up today about the Greek law, securitization of a debt. And some of you might have seen it, some of you might not have. The securitization is spelled out for you there, and if you look at it, it explains to you how, if that debt, let's say you've got a debt, and that debt has been sold or assigned, immediately the party who has accepted that debt stands the risk of losing the obligated performance of the previous party who was supposed to be obliged to perform these particular terms and conditions. That really is all you ever need to know about debt. In short, that once it's been assigned, it is no longer up to the previous creditor of that debt to oblige to fulfill any performance within that contract. So when you're assigning your credit to the legal fiction, when you're what you're doing when you're assigning your credit, you're crediting that legal fiction, you're actually creating a debt against every other part of you, your soul, your mind, your body, and this level, whatever else there is to you in all of those different frequencies that you don't even know about. You are creating that debt because you credited something. What was it? I defined myself. What did you choose to define yourself as? Vatican debt slave. So only you can officially receive the liabilities that that mind created. So there we are back in the sketch of the hierarchy system. There's the company, that's corporation that's bankrupt. Why is it bankrupt? Because the creditors pulled out all of their credit. And that's you stopping using the name. Now the company hasn't got any assets because the assets were you using the name. That corporation now is bankrupt and any assets are secured. Who is that? You were now secured in the mind that we were the creditors, and that by us crediting this corporation, we were funding our own prison. So by pulling your mind out of it at that level now, you are officially receiving this information that you have been doing it to you all along. So it's only you who can settle it. So in the answer to your question is no, I'm not your trustee. You are your trustee. You are your executor. You are all of those godforsaken definitions that they've tried to give you to pick up and label yourself as, so that they can then take the jurisdiction over you. Because every time you defined yourself as anything, you were exemplifying an incapacitated mind. You weren't aware that you were creating reality by picking up these definitions and defining it as that. And now a certain degree of beings are aware that that's what they're doing, so they've just retired from crediting that belief. So the corporation that was incorporating all of our minds has now become bankrupt, and the assets have liquidated themselves into indefinable things. So if the name of the thing is not known, the thing is lost, and all knowledge of that thing goes with it. What has the corporation got now? Nothing. Why? Because the official receiver, so now you're the official receiver, as long as the trustee, the executor, the beneficiary, all of the accountant, all of those things that they've tried to get you to diminish yourself by claiming one or a few of those labels. And you can then execute the chief executive orders of your own corporation, can't you? So my corporate body that was crediting this corporation, then by me pulling my mind out, where does my body go? It follows my mind. I'm the body unincorporated now. And so you are actually all of those things, all of those titles, and by you accepting the role as official receiver, you've completely rebutted the presumption from top to bottom that's being implied by this corporate state that you don't know enough to be able to execute your own estate, discharge your own charges, use and create your own method of exchange, and or build your communities from that. So the government created a trust. Well, I don't know if anybody wants to write this down, or you can listen to it on the recording. The government created a trust to discharge your charges of existing in a system of capitalism upon your rights. You are accepted and consented to by using the capitalized form of the given name, that you are okay with your rights being capitalized on. You retired from crediting that system by assigning your consent back to universal law so that no capitalism of your rights can be committed. Now, I thought about doing a flow chart, but I'm sure some of you can put some arrows on this. You then act as the official receiver of the debt that you accumulated that your government did not discharge, and you are your own official receiver. Doing what the government should have but couldn't once it became a corporation. Now, has anybody got any questions about what we just talked about there? No? Okay, so we're moving now. What does the official receiver then do? The official receiver would assess the assets, give it a value, and then they would say, right, okay, these people, these secured creditors are given the goods, given the dividends of this estate up to them first, their secured party. Who's the secured party to yourself? There's a clue in the word. Who's the secured party to yourself? You are. You are the secured party to yourself. Now, inside, let's go back to the corporate diagram, if you like. There is the corporation, your corporation. It's secured. It's secured against what? It's secured against myself as an asset that was once crediting HM government, Crown Corporation, any of these other agents thereof. And so by you being secured in not just the mind, but also in where the mind fits in that hierarchy system, you have then got the right to do what? Peacefully surrender my collateral in order for me to be able to discharge the debt that my unsecured mind created while I wasn't in control of it. And so that is where we are at now. You are restoring the rights of your mind, and it looks like this at the moment. It looks like, oh my God, I'm scared of myself, go and lock myself in the house and put, coronavirus mask on. Or, we have to be very serious about this because people are dying. People are, their bodies are wearing out. Our bodies wear out, and that's it. Whether I put coronavirus stamp on it or not is only if I need to launder the belief of coronavirus or not. So, we have to stop taking this projection of this placebo and creating it. And so by going and opening up your businesses and shops, and see for yourself what universal law looks like when you put your trust in it. Because it's not just about, obviously, signing all of my liabilities away and going, oh, yeah, that's great, I'll go down the supermarket and buy a load of crap. It's about saying, right, okay, if I'm conscious of that, I can't be unconscious of where my food comes from. If I'm conscious of that, I can't be unconscious about where's the water coming from. You can't be a little bit, one eye open and the other one pretending to be shut. So, talking about birth certificates, for example, I'm going to go and give my birth certificate in. What if I want to send my children to school? What are you talking to me for? Why are you even considering that I would have any solution that included send your children to school? Do not send your children to school. Do not contract with anything that they come to you with as an offer. Anything that corporation system has got to offer as a liability. And all of that energy that we've invested in going, okay, which benefit can I claim from who? The people who, profit from you dying painfully and slowly instead of thriving. You think that any of those people have got a benefit? So the restoration of rights is getting right. I'm restoring the rights of my right mind, first of all. I've been stumbling around and blaming the government for my life being shit, and I've taken back no responsibility for it. So now I've got to do that. I can't be the official receiver if I'm looking for somebody else to discharge the charges of the debt that I created by my incapacitated mindset. So what do we do next once we've done that is you invest that free energy that you just released from the slavery mechanism, and you just let that loose. You go and you exemplify it in your community and you share this information, like I said, even if it's just step one, and I know that much. And then all of the bills went into Minister Emoven's name. That's what I can talk about.
Right. Sorry for interrupting. Are you going to be on for a while? Because I just need to go and drop my daughter off.
Sorry?
Are we still going to be on for a while? I just need to leave for a bit. I need to go and drop my daughter off.
It's all right, Bas. We're recording it, so
All right, okay then.
In and out.
Yeah, all right, yeah. Well, I'll be back in anyway. I just need to drop my daughter off back home anyway. All right, I'll see you shortly.
See you soon. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
There's a quote by Malcolm X as well. I'm not quite sure exactly how it goes, but it's, why would you give your enemies your children to educate?
Thanks. You know, we need to really start to look at what it is. So let's peel back some of these layers now, back to the corporations. We're restoring our rights now. What does it look like in the 3D form, if you want to call it that? Well, those buildings, first of all, what you need to do is create and organize your own alternative to whatever it is. The police, okay, we need our own alternative to the policy enforcers. And the more and more people that you pull out of this slavery system, the less and less presumption they can make over the amount of beings that we've got to launder their information and energy through our money laundering service with. So, you know, you might not think it's much, but just putting yourself out there and going and knocking on somebody else's door, passing this information on, you know, sharing some of the things that you've learned so far, obviously it's made a massive effect to so many people in so many different places. So, you know, don't think that you haven't got something to offer or this is too complicated for you. It is so simple because all you have to do is create a personal email address and go on the website and press the information type it in and press send. And if that doesn't work, like we said before, put it on kindnesscredits@protonmail.com. But there's absolutely no point in sending us an email it's not personal. We're just wasting our time and your own, because we have to send you an email back then and say, can you make a personal mail, please? Do we want a load of people who, you know, if that's too much effort and energy to put yourself out there and determine for yourself an encrypted email address, then if you can't trust yourself to do that, then do we want to meet you at the mind? No. Okay. So if you sent an email without a personal email, don't expect a reply, because there's so many other people who have done so many amazing things in just like 3 days. I'm having to catch up with these people who have gone off and they've done all of this, and they're like, right, okay, come on, what's next? Well, you know, go and tell the people in your community what it is that you just did. And put a sign out. Wait, COVID-free coffee morning. Come and find out why the police can't come here. Come and find out why I'm unalienable. Because it's all very well going sitting on the beach, which is what I thought I could do with this information and go, right, okay, you know, they didn't get up when I wanted them to, so I'm taking my bat and ball home now. I'm going to go sit on the beach and to hell with it. You can't do it. Because you've got to come back off the beach and go in amongst slaves. So what good is that? So there's no point sitting there scratching your head going, oh, it's not a lot of places around my little flag that I've put in the map for me to go and do any exchanges with. And, you know, better get on and send them an email, say, oh, you get me a community built. Think of, there was a computer program that an ex used to play every night, Age of Empires or something like that, or Build Your Empire. And you'd just start off with a few sticks and create a wooden hut so that the people could shelter out of the rain with it. You know, what you're creating here is a haven, is an offshore haven from this holy sea crap that everybody is drowning in, literally. And that's what you're doing. The little lighthouse flashing its signal out there. But you've got to go and light your beacons, because what I've seen just recently, you know, somebody put up police coming through people's doors for saying that there's so many people inside there. You need to get this, guys, so indoctrinated. And if you're going to indoctrinate yourself with anything, indoctrinate yourself with this. They cannot come to your house unless your house is registered to a legal fiction that belongs to them, because the occupants of that legal fiction and that property that belongs to that legal fiction belongs to them. And it's a thing. It's people in the house pretending to be dead things. So the dead things, the controller of the dead things, can come along and say, hey, dead things, you're not doing what a dead thing should. So I'm going to come kick your doors in and pretend you're a dead thing. And really what they're actually doing is it's the universe forcing you in. I looked at it and it was like, okay, well, I know that they're there in their corrupt state. They don't even know that they're actually, what they're actually doing is upholding universal law, and you're having it punched into you in front of your children, or tasered into you, or truncheoned into you, whatever, because you won't accept that legal fiction's not yours. What have we got to go through as a collective before, you know, we stop electrocuting the monkey that's gone up to grab the fruit, in case you all get electrocuted, and go, right, okay, well, if that's the deal, then we need to go and find out who it is who's electrocuting us, and unplug it. Not so what is it that's electrocuting you? What is the charge? You are charging your universal source self, and you are paying for it physically, because you are actually committing the fraud upon your soul by giving and crediting all of your rights to that legal fiction, so they can come through your door, because you've allowed that door to swing right open like that revolving credit facility, that you are inviting this non-entity corporation to presume you and your rights are theirs to do whatever it is that they like. Now, it's all very well posting these things, look what this did, look what this did, look what this did. They can only do that because of the amount of people who have not taken it upon themselves for whatever reason, to ensure that, first of all, they can't do it to my next door neighbour and the street down and the street down there and the next road and the next road, because you bothered to go down there and explain to the people, actually, they can only do this because you are consenting to be a legal fiction, and all of your rights have gone to them.
I add something to that, please.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know, we have been advised that if we get stopped in our cars to tell the police that we aren't doing any commerce. Would that be something we can say to the police if they come to our doors, that we do not wish to exchange in any commerce with them?
If the police come to your door, first of all, who are you?
Me?
Anybody. Who are you?
Right, sorry, yeah. I am my own corporation.
Well, you're just back in commerce then, and they're the incorporation of the corporations of the corporate itself. So, hi, let me hit you with my stick.
Ah, right.
You're not
Okay.
a corporation. They made you. In one way, in one way, you have your corporate body, right? The thing that houses you has been given a definition of corporate. It's a corporate body. It's an incorporation of a collection of cells. It's all of these definitions. Now, if we want to stay out of commerce and the commercial definitions, the worst thing that you can say to a corporation is, I'm your secured party creditor.
Right.
So have I, as the secured party creditor, granted license to you with indemnity for you to run amok among my community and force commercial intercourse on them?
Okay.
Where's your license from Big Blue Asset Management or Universal Law Community Trust, who are the secured party creditors to HM government, that would have granted you a license if that monkey outfit that you're wearing had any value to it?
Okay. Okay.
Please, may I ask a question?
Yeah.
Can you just, because I'm fairly new to this, can you just define secured party creditor? What does that actually? No, did you say?
If you want a secured party creditor, and you go and have a look on Cornell University online.
Okay.
Have a look at the UCC definitions.
Yes, I've got the book actually. I've got a book.
And the whole point of what we're doing here, if I was to sit and define what it is that I'm saying is indefinable, immediately you're disclosing to the other part of yourself that wants to usurp yourself the ability to be able to go, that's mine, you mean that, this means this. So I've just explained what, to me, secured party creditor means. When I explained about what the official receiver that you are, either the unsecured party crediting this slavery mechanism, or you're secured in the mind that you're not. I'm not. It depends if you want to. Are you talking about commerce? If you're talking about commerce, there you are. That's the UCC definition that they have said is the definition of secured party. When we say we're secured party creditors, we talk about the restoration of rights, a process in alignment or not dissimilar to what you've defined as UCC 9609-610, restoration of rights of the creditors. And really, for me, when I went through all of that, that was that's the big one for me, that it tells you exactly how it is that they got to be in that situation, that they're supposedly creditors, because we've been peacefully surrendering our collateral to the legal fiction. So we've actually been handing ourselves over, and all of our rights and our equitable shares and everything that we are and the potential that we may be, to that system and crediting it. So if you were to ask me, can I define secured party creditor, I'm just getting there. I've written a little book about Minister Your Mind that's a bit about what I comprehend it to be from the way that I've practiced it. But I think secured party creditor that's the bit that you write yourself.
Yes, I'm the secured party creditor then.
Well, if you need me to tell you, then no, you're not. I'm kidding, love. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. If think about the words, right? So
that's it. That's what I'm doing. I think I am. I think I'm the creditor, my own creditor.
It's what are we crediting? I am secured in crediting my bank account. I'm secured in crediting that legal fiction. I think it's mine. But by me, I've been secured in that mindset by everything that I was taught. So in one way, what we're saying is that we were once the incapacitated legal minor, unsecured in mind, being an unsecured creditor of a corporation that never paid us out our dividends of the, let's say, money laundering exercise and mechanism that was going on. And so we were unsecured creditors, secured in our minds. I'm absolutely secure in the mind that that legal fiction is mine. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I know, you know, writing yourself this definition, especially this one, secured party creditor, this is what I'm waiting for, to read all of these stories about, oh, well, I took my secured mind and I credited this with it. Look at this. All these children coming here and learning about all of these amazing things, like gamma or whatever.
Mm.
Or, you know, grew this box of food and gave it to my neighbour. Wow, with your secured mind. Love it.
That's going to be my homework. I'm going to come up with my own definition of that.
I think it'd be great if people started to define these words.
Yeah, I can do that. I shall share it once I've done it.
It's like minister, right? When Minister Emoven popped out, it was, you know, it wasn't with any in-depth thought. It was just about, okay, how to define yourself. You're ministering yourself or your own energy and matter and movement, and call myself Minister Emoven.
And the thing is, it's M-E, which is me. That's why I love it.
Yeah.
Me. Isn't it?
Who are you? I'm me.
Yeah.
You know, I've done this, right? As a policeman, I'll tell you a funny story. Well, the policeman was looking for this woman that I had hidden with her children to stop the social services from stealing them in England. And they've called me and they're shouting, this, I assume, debt slave, whatever. And I said, no. He said, who are you? I am you. You are not me. I am me. No, I am me. No, I am you. No, you are not me. I am me. And on it went right, and it was, and in the end, it was like, you just put the phone down. Because you know, who I am you, and you are me, and we are us, and they are them, and we are them, and they are me as well, aren't we?
Yeah.
So, and it just, you let what I'm saying about when you speak to an agent of the corporation and you say secured party creditor, it does something to them, because they know that it's all, you know, they say it's nothing personal, it's just business. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm speaking business now when I say secured party creditor. If I'm speaking to people about securing their mind in away from that system, then it means something on another level. If you say minister to a policeman, they go and stand to attention and go and get their sergeant, and the sergeant goes and gets his chief constable, and they're all stood to attention because over here, because the church is king. So I didn't say I was the minister of you. I just said I'm minister of them. I'm minister of my own energy and matter and movement. But what you are doing is speaking to their indoctrinated mind. So it's not so much as what does it mean to you. It means, what is it that it means to the other people? And then you get to the point where, hang on, if I start to now define what it is that I mean to these other people, if it's either going to resonate or it's not, I'm stealing their experience as well by projecting my definition onto them. Let them interpret it for what it means to them, and project that thing that they believe into this, instead of everybody sucking up one person or one being's definitions. We've done that already. You know, that's why I think it's so important to have your own ledger book, breaking the spell, and writing your own glossary. It's completely liberating. I mean, we've got words here that are, you know, we've just made up ourselves. they mean that. I mean, there's a conversation between me and my partner, you know, in Greek and English. So it's fun as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if you all used to play when you were kids. You used to play where you'd remove one of the letters. You'd choose a letter out of each. You know, I'll miss every E out and speaking code in front of your mum.
Yes, I used to do that.
Lots of people who've come into this group participated in that little exercise, I've found. So, well, we've got some other questions here.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. That was brilliant.
You're very welcome, and thank you for asking. Anybody who's got this quote, do we exchange the property away from the legal fiction to our private trust, then action, quiet, title after? Now, both of those two things are one thing, Tina. So do we exchange the property away from the legal fiction to our private trust, then action, quiet, title? You're doing both, because what your assignment, so let's go through those steps, and then hopefully people can start to do this themselves, because we do send you the templates out. We don't want you, you know, it wasn't about setting up another, we'll call a hierarchy system of information. We'll give it all out to you. You do this each for yourself. You each call, as Minister Emoven, you each stand on your rights and build that energy, let's say. So you're going to do the TR1 document. The title deed is registered to your trust. So let's speak about transferee and transferor. Transferor is the party assigning the title deed to the transferee. So what you put in that box, or actually we've got some papers, some TR1, which have had the boxes taken out, or you can do that yourself, or you can put breaks along the boxes. You can write outside the boxes. You can take that information off and just put it onto a Word document. You can send that instead. You decide. Please don't everybody come and say, can you just check this? Can you just check this? This is your definition of what the deed that documents this looks like. That's it. So remember, you're speaking to this legal fiction that only you believe in anymore. Right? So don't be surprised. Some of
the only reason I'm asking is because the deeds are currently in joint names with my ex, and so I'm trying to convey all of the different meanings and the process and everything.
Yeah, I'm gonna spell it out instead.
Yeah.
I'm gonna okay.
Yeah.
So transferor is the one's creditor or the one's creditors of the account titled whatever's written on that deed, on that title deed. And it is being transferred to your family trust, whatever name it is that you've given your family trust / Universal Law Community Trust, and that's it. So that says that you've got a family trust and it is in alignment with the Universal Law Community Trust. What is that? A group of people that trust in universal law. That's it. So when people talk about what structure is it, that's it. We're a bunch of people who trust in universal law as a community. So we call ourselves indefinable. If you want to refer to us as anything, it's ULCT. That's it. Now, then as you work through the document, you put the longitude and latitude in there instead of the road, and you put that, I was going to say you put it in brackets, put it however the hell you like, because your thumbprint and the seal's going on the bottom of it anyway, which takes the jurisdiction into indefinable. So then it's it's the full title that you're assigning, and you go through the document and get to, is it for monetary exchange? No. And you then move down and it's to be held in a trust, and that's it. You've got then the quiet title. So if you send the longitude and latitude, we can send you over an example. We can send you over an example. It's really funny because I don't have that facility on
I think you might.
Has Liz disappeared?
Looks like it.
I think she had a Facebook call.
Hi, yeah, sorry.
Oh.
I did, and I don't even use that facility. So I don't know how that happened. But anyway, let us. Okay, turn that off. How very rude. Now, so where were we before we were rudely interrupted? We were going through the quiet title. So then what happened? The quiet title says that there is something that has been done, a deed that has been exemplified, but we can't tell you what it is. And they get that. So it's a quiet title, and I absolutely love quiet title. I've never found as much peace in my life as when I started to use and fully comprehend quiet title. It stops you making claims, which stops you committing the fraud, which stops you from being implied to be consenting to be always presumed to be guilty. And that's what we've all been doing. We've all been walking around presumed guilty. And so when you start to actually practice this yourself and say, right, okay, quiet title, I've got a quiet title. What does it mean to me? Well, in the Black's Law Dictionary, it means that they're quietening the presumption that somebody can make a claim against something that you've already laid a quiet title on. What if you laid a quiet title upon yourself and you have recorded that for your own peace of mind, literally? I mean, these are words that we've all been using, and when you put it in this level, we're actually been speaking about putting peace in your mind, which is the quiet title. If I stop making claims and I stop defining things, then I can stop fighting with other parts of myself that say that it's called something else. So immediately the resistance is broken down and we start to resonate much better. And something else can fill that gap that I was stuffing with that title, that label, that definition, fill in that little bit with my projection. And I think this is shown quite well in the double split experiment, where the photons stop behaving accordingly when they're aware that they're being recorded. So that's worth a watch to have a look at that if you haven't already. I'm sure most of you have. Now, if we start to examine ourselves first of all and say, hang on a minute, if I really want to get down into the nitty-gritty of what is it that keeps getting me in these situations, then it's because I'm laying a claim. And so this is why when people lay these claims and say these things, and oh, she's this and she's that and all the rest of it, prove your claim, that's it. Like we talked about that guy with the policeman who was pretending to be a policeman, rather, on the phone the other night. Prove your claim. Prove that these people have consented to be in commerce, because I've got all of the things over here that you need to have seen, really, to have them presume they're in commerce. And we recorded them saying about the number plates. So actually they've got the conveyance with another set of number plates. Well, why have you falsified your own documents then? You know, this is an exact textbook copy, a carbon copy of what happened over here, which blew the complete lid apart on their whole system. They ate themselves with their own fraud. And we just stood back and you know, it's like lighting the fuse and stepping back and watching the bonfire, you know. The papers, you know, and the system, it's on fire. It's absolutely, it's down to its ashes at the moment. And that's what we're seeing now, you know, scrabbling around, trying to make this complete, unbelievable pantomime believable. So when you actually take that quiet title and file it up in the land registry, you have met them at the mind at that level that they suddenly they could only be presumed, or they could only presume themselves into that position with your mind, and they have got it there documented, and the piece of paper say there's something that went on, but can't tell you what. What the hell are you going to do with that? As opposed to the piece of paper that you keep giving them saying, I did this, and I did this, and I did, can you just confirm that's all right for me? Can you just validate this for me? Can you just give me a piece of paper to tell me that I'm intelligent? And so that I can go around with my incapacitated mind and enforce it on other people, and they'll send their children to me so I can do it to them too. So I can pay my liabilities. I mean, it's insane. Absolutely psychotic what we've been doing. So, you know, take as many papers as you like, but get yourself a legible quote, draw some lines in an exercise book, write the date in there, and we're going to go through that when we get everybody. What we're trying to do now is get everybody, as many people as we can, up to this step where they know that much about the discharging of their own debt, and where that's standing puts them, and then move as many people into creating these community hubs and helping other people in one wave, if you like. So there are some other questions. Can they try to use mobile phone to identify you? Great question. You'll have used your mobile phone to commit fraud and pretend that you were the Vatican debt slave last time you called the electricity supplier, won't you? And so the electricity supplier will think they're really clever by trying to get somebody at the end to join her as the legal fiction. And they've heard it all before, you know, they've heard, oh, yeah, he's dead, whatever. Now think what happens when the accounts are assigned. All accounts were assigned, so that includes telephone number, didn't it? Who's it been assigned to? Well, back to you. Who are you? I'm me. Hello, me. I'm Minister Emoven. And so you answer the phone, and they say, can we speak to legal fiction, debt slave, whatever? And you say, who are you? And they say, oh, we're the local persecutors on behalf of Southern Electric, for example. Oh, okay. And what do you want? Well, we need to speak to the account holder. Oh, well, you're speaking to the liability holder of that account. How can I help you? Are you, I just need you to confirm your name, and it's the same name, data protection and all that, blah, blah, blah. Oh, well, what name have you got? Well, I can't tell you that. Oh, but you just asked for that particular person. Get them in the riddles, right? And you will have them chasing their own tail. They will tell you that you can obviously administer on the van. Well, we haven't got that name on record. Well, you need to go and have a look, because I'm looking at the assignment of consent that was received by your office on such and such day, and Fred signed for it. So, as I'm the only party that you can speak to in regards to this account and an offer of settlement, then I suggest you go and get somebody above your pay grade. Because if you refuse to speak to me, and I'm the only party who can make the offer of settlement, you will have refused the offer of settlement, and the account will be zeroed. I'll give you a few minutes. And then you'll either get the manager on the phone, and they'll come back and they'll say, yes, Minister Emoven, we've got your assignment consent. We talked about an offer of settlement. Yes, I did. What is it that's outstanding on that account? Well, it's 2,000 slave tokens. Okay. So that account is credit. And obviously, I'm going to be very kind today, and I'm going to give you an alternative. I'm going to give you two options. I'm the secured party creditor to HM Government that licensed your company, Southern Electric, to trade upon my creditor's share of the planet's resources, in this case, the electricity. I haven't granted an assignment of consent or the right of use of my secured party creditor's share of the electricity to Southern Electric. But what I will do is I will accept the 2,000 slave tokens worth of credit that you are offering my creditor to accept the debt of, and I will credit one of these two accounts. Now I've got kindness credit account number 2020-1000 in the name of HM government, and it is in debt to in excess of 10 quadrillion slave tokens worth of kindness credit. But I've also got another one over here with Southern Electric on it with this number next to it, which is also in debt to kindness credits to this amount. So I'd like to know which one of these accounts would you like me to apply the 2,000 slave tokens worth of credit to? You're making the offer of settlement. That is the offer of settlement, that I am taking the jurisdiction and the responsibility of the supposed debt that is really credit, and I'm going to apply it to the supposed debt that's really credit against HM government on behalf of the secured party creditors. Who's that? Me and me. And who is it talking down the phone? You. Another me. And another me, and another me, and another me, all around, Minister and events, all round. Then same thing. How long do you think these corporations are going to last? When suddenly all of their data is filled with Minister and event, and they've got to go to their shareholders and say, why haven't we made loads of profit this year? Well, because all of the accounts can't be used to launder the people's minds through anymore, because they became secured party to their minds and stopped crediting the legal fiction. And they stopped assigning their share of the planet and its resources to us. So we haven't got anything to actually create electricity from, because they've taken all the shares of the petrochemicals and put them over there and said we can't use them. That is you governing yourselves in a kindness credit frequency that cannot be used for creating bombs, weapons and war, or terrorizing yourself with pharmaceuticals with. And that for me is the definition of brokering open your own credit file. You are actually brokering open the true credit of your mind and unleashing it into this fiction, and taking the fiction to the truth instead of the other way around. You're running around in there going, I know this to be true, give me my common law rights. And you're in a system of fiction and you're shouting, you know what is true. Wow. Over here, we're standing over here and we're saying, actually, we don't know what's true. We're looking for that because there's nothing true to be had in after the point that I just committed fraud upon my soul. So there can't be any legal remedy that any court could offer me, because it requires me to create an act of fraud and break the law in order for it to exist. And I go in there and look for my legal remedy. I want to go and claim my trust in what? Well, I trusted in commerce and capitalism, and so I want my dividends. Well, what do you think is going to happen when they give, I don't know, 500,000 of you that have gone through all these steps, suddenly 10 million slave tokens each in your bank accounts? What do you think is going to happen then? Hyperinflation. What about the people who haven't got 10 million in their bank accounts and suddenly they've got to go and pay 6,000 quid for a loaf of bread because of you and your greed and your lack of imagination? So anybody wafting the slave tokens, just give them a wide berth. That's all I've said. You know, we did slip up last year, 2 years ago, and the universe soon stopped us. Because we thought that might help people, you know, everybody needs slave tokens, and here's treasury accounts, and here they are attached to your PayPal account, and go and help each other, and, you know, we just weren't there yet. So the last thing that we need is an influx of slave tokens, because it's just that value, that energy that you give chasing that illusionary pound sign is your pound of, that's your credit. You're crediting that system with your belief. I can't sound like secure party creditor of my own mind, but show me the money. You know, it's like, it really is. Sorry for laughing, but it's, I'm laughing at myself because I did it as well. You know, on the other side of the coin was like, okay, I can just press these buttons here and wow, and tell these people that to invest in this and never even think what it is that I'm telling them to invest in or why. And got a big ranch and a nice horse, you know, nice horses in the pool to go and drown my guilt in with as much alcohol as possible, because really you committed the fraud upon your soul. So I've heard apparently in the grapevine, some hearsay bongo drums drumming, that I live in a massive house and I'm a multimillionaire, and I can go and live in any house that I like, any house I like. I've got the ability to be able to go and say, right, I'd like the right of use of that in exchange for this rock. Where I choose to live right now is one of the most magical places that I've ever been to, and it doesn't matter if I live in a straw hut here as long as I'm here. And you know, I've seen some of the places that I've actually gone and stayed in, because the message has to get out, and I had to go. It's like bloody door to door to communities after communities to put this information into straight in front of people, because every single way it was blocked. The people who came and said, yeah, we'll share it with everybody, took it all here and kept it in a room for 2 weeks. And then when I went around, I said, I'm giving you 10 days to release that information to all of those people. I'm going to go door to door to each one of your offices to make sure that they've got the same information that you've got. And they were screaming, they had mafia groups waiting for me in coffee shops to shut me up. And you know, and it hasn't, and it won't. And now, obviously, all of you guys, you know, to whatever degree it is that you know it, it's game over. So don't get too much bogged down in the definitions that we're trying to get away from. Bog yourself down in defining this for yourself, and say you can then speak from first-hand experience instead of this hearsay. And you know, I find it very funny that people are talking about common law, for example, and hand over fist making false claim, or you know, anything like that. You just got to stop making claims. And even if I did live in a massive, great big house, you know, even more amazing that I didn't have to get slave tokens to do it with. But why go and help those people over there? Why not come and help the people who've been struggling to keep their house over their heads? Who their houses are not, you know, 10 bedrooms and 20 bathrooms. I want to help those people first. Am I going to turn around to them when they say, oh, here, I haven't got anything to give you other than 5 years of right of use of my house, and it looks like this, you know, thank you for getting this to the degree where you realise that we need to do this together in this community no matter what, and the next community and the next community. Right.
Elizabeth, you must be shattered.
That's a presumption. Thank you, Audra. Who else? I'm not. Thanks. I operate in gamma, and I can. Thank you there for projecting that onto me.
Sorry.
To start the process was okay. That's a private message. Okay, Christian, have you got any questions there about actually doing the process, Christian?
Hello.
Hello.
Hiya.
Hey.
Yeah, I do. I'm wanting to start the process, but I'm just wanting to get a little bit. I'm quite overwhelmed with the situation I've got myself in. and I'm feeling like I need to chunk it down with the debts and stuff. And so I thought I'd start with the credit cards, which there's 6 of. And I wanted to know, when I email you, do you need the exact figures of these totals?
No, no, you
just
do. You need to start to create your own ledger book. So
yeah,
we're taking you through the steps where you're creating your own trust. So you get yourself a ledger book, or if you act with a laptop or spreadsheet, then fill that out. Put your date in there, the company name, the amount, the account number, and the date that you sent your assignment to them, and the amount. Obviously, I did all of this for everybody before to get us to the point where we could account for the debt that we then laid against HM Government or the Hellenic Republic here. But what you're going to do then is, if any of those companies contact you, they're going to call on that number. It's Minister Emoven, and you know what the amount is because you're sitting there with that information. And you are doing what I just did there to make an offer of settlement. You're taking that debt and setting it off against the debt that's owed by either that company to you, to what you're looking at in your book, or to the HM government's 10 quadrillion. All of you can do this. It's all your debt.
yeah.
It's all your. Now, I don't mean it like that. I mean that debt that HM government has got is all yours to stand surety to. Anything that you want to discharge against it, but you are going to execute that. So it doesn't matter to me is the answer to the question. I don't really need to know the amounts.
Yeah. So what do you need from me? I've done my Proton email, and so when I'm emailing you, I just want to need to give you the companies.
Yeah, you just really all you need is your national insurance number on there, and you can have one document, or you can tell us that I don't want to put any numbers on the email. This is just my legal fiction. That's all I want to assign into the trust because that's all we really need. And it's actually the deed. If you read all of that and you've gone, right, okay, I get that. So if I press that, I'm assigning my consent back to myself under universal law is what you're doing. And so immediately, what have you created? Trust in yourself.
Yeah.
So then what does it look like on paper? Well, trust ledger books look like this. And so you're accounting for all of that they tried to tell you was debt. Your debt times to the power of 10 to the power of 10 is credit if you paid it. So if you've gone and taken that bill and paid it, that debt would have created that amount of credit in the debt fiat currency system for them.
Yeah.
So have 2 columns for the amount at 1% and the actual amount that will be sitting in the bottom of your paying in slip. Between those 2 little arrows, no greater than and no less than in mass. And it's 10,000 times the amount that you were going to pay them because you were paying them with slave tokens. So, and then obviously, like I said, we're going to give you a call. Great, now I can practice being Minister Emoven. And if you get stuck at any point and you go, oh, God, I forgot what we're saying, just say, I'm under non-disclosure, I'm just going to speak to my trust and see why it is that you've still got this number.
Okay.
And, you know,
okay. And then after that, I've got another couple of issues, and I've got mortgage and utilities and things like that. But I just, it's the credit cards that are clouding everything else for now.
Okay. So let's get those squared away then, and just do those. And then you send your documents off, and then you keep note of the receipt, the registered post. So you've got a record that was received, it was tracked, and it was signed for by Fred or whoever.
Yeah.
And so that they can't then say that they didn't know that it was Minister Emoven who was. Don't be surprised then it's Minister Emoven on the other end of the phone because you've been assigned. You've been noticed of the assignment.
So the thing that you're going to send me back, this assignment, is that something that'll be tailored to each different company, or is it just one that I then fill out for each different company, photocopy it and fill it out?
Yeah,
for each
we're not doing that anymore. You're doing that. So if you want to send out individual ones, and there's actually, the assignment is already on the website. If anybody wants to do this for themselves, by all means do it. You know, everything's there for you to do it. You don't have to turn around and say, you know, I've got to be part of anything. You already are universal law. It runs through you. We just forgot to put our trust in it, that's all. And so you have a look at it on there and download it and actually edit it yourself. The only thing that we won't have is the warranty cards and the welcome pack. But there's nothing stopping anybody signing, and people have, you know, people I haven't even got any information for through the website. I suddenly get a copy of their assignment that they've sent up, and they've done it themselves. So there's, you know, the reason why we put it up there is so that it's all fully transparent. That's what it says. That's you writing to yourself. Fill that in. If you just put your national insurance number in there and send it, then all accounts are attached to that anyway. Or you can do individual ones if you're feeling like those doors need shutting down. Or if you just want to slam one door shut on all of it, then go and hand your birth certificate in, and that's it, job done. But some people, you know, it's a bit
that was another thing, you know, because there was this thing about, I was listening to one of yours the other night about the life certificate that you can provide, and I'm just wondering what to do at what stage and when, if you know what I mean.
Whenever you're ready, you know, if you live on record, you want a live on record. There's so, I mean, it's universal in the way they've split you up, you know. So it's down to what is pressing on your mind most at the moment. Like you said, it's a credit card, so let's get them out of the way, and so you can start.
It's the credit cards.
Do that then.
Yeah.
Do that first.
Once I've dealt with that.
Yep.
Sorry.
No, go on.
Yeah, I think once I've got that out of the way and I can deal with a mortgage, I think I'll be able to think much clearer about what I'm doing moving forward without that sort of cloudiness that we get into that becomes mostly financial with our decisions with business, where this all of a sudden sort of blows the lid off it and we're able to look at, right, what would I like to do next if slave tokens were an object. But to get to there, I've just got to get through a few bits to get to there. And I think definitely the credit cards are the ones bogging me down at the minute.
They're occupying your mind, so let's evict them. We'll evict them.
That's cool, yeah.
We'll evict them.
Definitely.
The squatters that are represented at the police stations next and the hospitals. Whereabouts are you? It sounds like a Yorkshire accent.
I'm actually up near the Lake District.
All right, okay.
Yeah. Just up half an hour from Lancaster, 20 minutes up from Lancaster.
Okay, great. Because we've got some land there that's been restored using the restoration of rights and the debt against HM government. So there's some sizable bit. Do you want to just put your Proton email address in the chat box for me?
Yeah, because I actually sent it to you just before, but I put the wrong number on, so I'll resend it to you right now.
Okay, and then we'll get you connected with the people up there. I've put a post up about if you're, you know, while you're setting your trust stuff, there's something, a very important one is the kindness credit claim form, because what you're doing there is you're taking all of that energy that you would have put in the system and you're investing it into your community. So I need my meters changing. Am I going to go to an electrician who's out of the trust, or am I going to come and support the people who are in the trust? Oh, well, I'm going to have a look on the community first, see what I can find, and mark off then on the claim form the account numbers that I want to do exchanges with. So it's the paper version of the online form that people have been using to execute the kindness credit account So we, you know, by helping you connect to that, so we're going to send that out as a part of the welcome pack as well. I've just started doing that today with some of them that I've done. And you've just got a little message there from your local kind of credit facilitator.
Yeah, she's not a million miles away.
No, she's not. And
it's interesting because I was actually looking at the next move I make. I was looking possibly for a small holding somewhere, and it's very interesting this what you're talking about, restoration of rights, because all of a sudden that broadens that up as well, doesn't it?
Well, you know, it's you go and do an assessment. You're there from Big Blue Asset Management, and you're assessing the value or the potential value of this particular piece of land, property, building, facility, service, whatever. You're also assessing what the right of use of is being used at the moment. So if the right of use is facilitating operating a slavery system and a cartel, or peddling pharmaceuticals in the name of medicine, for example, or indoctrinating children and harming them at things that we used to call schools, then these are the most important things to restore your rights to. When you give your children over at the school, it's something called Locus Parentis, and we talked about this before. Although, yes, you've handed your rights over to the child anyway, you're the parents, two people renting the child back from the government. And that's why you get the child benefit paid.
Wow.
To you. Yeah. And you give away then, when you give the child to the school, it's called Locus Parentis. And it means that anything that goes on then at that point, you've handed, really, it's your parental responsibility over to the school. And with one signature from your doctor, because the doctor is registered, the child's registered to the doctor, they can remove your children. They can do anything they like to them because you have abandoned your property. So we can't stand there and say, I'm not going to pay my council tax because I don't want to contract with them, but here's my child's mind, or here's my child's body. And I've abandoned all of my responsibility to it. So, and you know, we have to really get our heads into that secured mindset where I cannot, my conscience isn't covered, is it? If I'm saying this system doesn't exist and I'm a secured party creditor to that fact, that it only exists if I credit it, but here I am farming my child off because I want to go and work for some slave tokens that I don't actually need anymore, because I put my 5 hours in here and discharged it all. What would I rather be doing? I'd rather be at home with my children or in the community, growing food, or, you know, learning from one another and exchanging one another's energy.
Yeah.
So this is why it's really important for taking the incentive, really. Yes, it's quite daunting, but as a company, look what they did. Their company, a group of people who got together and said to you, you owe them money. And you said, all right then. And they didn't even say you owed them money. They said that this legal fiction here that you've been using owes me money. Will you stand surety to that liability, please, and pay it? And you said, all right. And you actually did. That's what we're actually doing. So the more people who get that, the question at the beginning of this was about, can they go to the landlord for the liability of something? You have been holding the liabilities of all this all your life, and it's time to put it down and say, hang on, it's not mine, so why are you asking me to pay for it? And there's a very good, what they call a litmus test. You can, you know, go to the police and say, I've sold my name. There's my birth certificate. I've sold my name, because that's not my name on that birth certificate anyway. But I've been using it. And they might say, you can't sell it, which is what somebody said to me. I said, well, why can't I sell it? Because it's not yours. Well, if it's not mine, why are you asking me to pay for it? Very simple logic. Or does that belong to me? Well, it does if you pick it up and say it does. At the point where it's sitting on the table, it doesn't. It's the right of use of the thing that has the value, right? Well, that has got no value if you use it. So, do you want to exercise your right of use of your legal fiction? Not ever. I've got one. If I need a legal fiction, I'll create one myself, and I'll use it like this, which has got all the moves and then some. It's got its own set of rules, its own set of definitions, and I call it Minister Emoven. And you can, that's yours.
I think the thing that what I'm finding is, and I'm only a week into looking at your website and listening to the Zoom meets on YouTube and stuff like that, but the magnitude of the trickery and the delusion and how it is sort of multi-layered over us in so many different ways, in so many different areas of life, is absolutely mind-blowing. Like every single day, you know, it's something else. Just you just keep seeing it and seeing it and seeing it at a deeper level and a deeper level and a deeper level. It's absolutely mind-blowing.
No, but get yourself out of that rabbit hole. There's that's what they want, and that's why they've set up these controlled opposition vortexes, I call them, where they suck your energy in. And you know, if we are really talking about self-determination, then why are we listening to anybody else's definitions? Why are we even on here listening to me babbling on? You know, it gets to that. We are at that point now where it really is self-determination, and let ourselves loose on this vibrational field of creation or whatever it is that creates this reality. And just get out of our own way, really. It might all look like that, and it might all be projected. So now you know this, and come to the labyrinth of this mindset, and now you know this, and you open up another portal. You're still in the labyrinth, still in the matrix. You shut the door down, and you say to yourself, it's not my circus, is it? It's not my monkeys. It's that I can open that door and get in there, and I can be an expert in nothing. I can know there's nothing, system of nothing, and presumption inside out, back to front. I can tell myself that, and I can pat myself on the back and say, "Oh, well done." Or I can say, "Do you know what? I got a degree in bullshit." Shut the door on it, and say, I don't know what else it is that I'm capable of, but I've seen what I'm capable of in that frequency, with that currency, with that representation in my mind, and I'm shutting the door on that. How do I do that? Minister Emoven. Quiet title.
Can I ask you something quickly?
Me?
Yeah. Sorry. If the birth certificate's copyright to the Crown, can't we just forward their bills on?
Well, that's what they're supposed to have been doing, but they forward their bills to them, but they're a corporation. I mean, this is what it's got to now. Why would you be asking us to pay for a legal fiction, a liability of a legal fiction that you forced on somebody?
That's yours.
Well, not even just that.
Yeah,
You
I was just thinking.
You forced somebody to say it was theirs, and because without it's just a piece of paper otherwise, isn't it?
So I could just ring up the gas and the electric and just change the billing address to the Crown, or is it the Crown you'd send it to, or is it the?
I didn't say that. You did. You didn't listen to.
Yeah, I know, but.
So I said.
That's what I mean. No, it's copyright to them, so I should be sending their bills to them.
But they're not a trust anymore, are they? And you're accepting the benefit at the moment, because even by you sending it to them, you're saying, I recognise this as being yours. You must exist. You send the bills. Who do you send the bills to? You charge them. You do what it is that I just explained there. You are the official receiver of the debt that you've been creating by allowing capitalism to be exercised on your rights. if the government was a trust, then it would have discharged that and we wouldn't be having these conversations. But you definitely don't want to be now going and saying, hello, bankrupted non-entity of the incapacitated legal fiction of my unsecured mind. Woo, over here I've got something that belongs to you. Really, I mean, personally, I mean, that's not something that I'd participate in, but it's whatever you think that. For me, it just screams lunatic. I'm sorry to say again, Shane.
I love it. I love playing games with
Minister Emoven.
We've had a lot
Do
of
you
that.
have any gas fitters or... Hello?
Sorry, somebody else?
Yeah, sorry, it's Jed. I was just wondering, do we have any gas fitters or electricity fitters in the northwest area?
I think we do, yeah. He's
to change meters over, you see.
Yes. If you have a look on the Kindness Credit page inside the trust, and I'll put you down to connect to somebody. It's actually come through your family, so it's great. We've got the whole family trust who are specialists in this matter all over the place. So that was quite looking forward to the universe for that. Are you ready for that now? Are you?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I'm just in the process of ordering a meter. Well, both meters. Now the thing is with this, it's like one of my friends done this a few years ago. Now we went down similar to the common law route, but what he'd actually stated that he had no contract himself with the electricity company. So what he'd done, he bought a meter, got his friend to come out, his mate fitted the meter, and then what he'd done, he'd come back a week later and then give him a health and safety check on it. But what happened in the meantime, because afterwards, the electricity company were contacting me to see why he wasn't using the electric. He said, well, I have no contract with you, I don't own your meter. He sent them a letter for a bill for their meter to come and pick it up within 14 days. And then what happened in the meantime, the electricity company must have got on to people fitting the meters. And then there was a memo sent out to all the fitters. Now, any fitter that was found fitting a meter was to be fined £20,000 and it was instant dismissal. But
no problem. We give them their own. What happens? They sign that license into the trust, and they get a warrant then, which is to our safety standards, and it's far superior to the nuts and bolts of theirs. It's the same with the road safety check. It puts an MOT in the shade, for the things that it will actually check out. So we're like saying, is that it? And then, is that the best you've got?
Well, the thing is with him, he actually had, he got free electricity for like 3 years. In the end, he's ended up contracting with them again. But what it was, they offered him 12 months lecky for the next 2 years for £50 a year. So he's ended up contracting with them and going with them. And I said to him, look, you do know that after your 2 years, your bill's just going to go through the roof.
Then he should have gone to Universal Law Community Trust. UniversalLawCommunityTrust.com, shouldn't he?
Yeah. Well, this was last year before I even knew about this, you know what I mean? Last time I was speaking to him about it.
There's been loads of people who've been doing these kind of things. We've just got a really great formula because we've got that legal fiction Minister and Emoven. If they use it, they haven't got the right of use of that legal fiction. We've made them the debtor. Every time they use Minister and Emoven, what do you do? Have you got a right of use of that? So we've swung it on them completely in exactly the same degree that they've been doing it to you. You've been using a legal fiction that doesn't belong to you, right?
Yeah.
They are.
Right, yeah.
Using Minister and Emoven, well, you haven't got a right of use.
Mm.
Where is your certificate of participation, as Paula would say? They haven't got one. Oh, why? Because you haven't given them one.
Yeah.
That's it. And never mind that. What the hell do you think you're doing, Mr. Agent of Southern Electric, implying that you've got a right to even, you've got no interest in the share of that electricity that you're implying I've granted you the right of use of. I've got 7.8 billion shareholders here with a universal share each, and not one of them have given it to you.
Yeah.
Get out of that shop.
Right, so I'll have to get on and look for the guys in this area then. Get me meters and get them changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So that's where, you know, you've gone through a few of the steps, and then when you got to that point, and you've switched the supplier. I mean, it's very empowering. Pick up the phone. Hello, Minister Emoven. I've just moved in as the liability holder at this address. Please update your records. Then that supplies in Minister Emoven. Anything that happens after that point, who did it? Me?
Yeah.
Minister Emoven? Not me.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's
We
ME.
don't know who me is. That's
Me is in ME. Yeah.
So, has anybody else got any questions? Also need someone to change meters. All you need to do, anybody who wants the meters changing, just go through that procedure, call them up, put the supply into Minister Emoven's name, and then from that point there, you've assigned that share of that resource back to universal law.
Yeah.
Back to yourselves.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Am I missing something about why people are needing to change meters?
Only because you're allowing the corporations to still trespass on your share of the planet's resources by granting them consent to supply you through the legal fiction, which means that you have to pay for your electricity and your gas.
So once the meters change, that's when we stop paying?
No. There's if you listen to the other Zooms we talk about on there, the process for this is you call up the company. Once you've done your assignment, your Minister Emoven, you're not telling any lies. Everything you say is true. I've just moved in as the liability holder at this address. 2 minutes ago, before I did my assignment, the occupier of my mind was legal fiction, debt slave, whatever. Now I identify myself as Minister Emoven. So I'm the liability holder in due course now. And I please update your records.
Yeah, I remember that one.
That's it.
But I was wondering why at that point do people then want to change the meters?
Because we don't want that company laundering that supply and that account, that meter number at that address.
Right. So it's like a two-step process.
Yeah, what you're doing is you're pulling your share away from it. You're not granting them the right of use of the share of that.
Yeah. I'm with you now. I must have thought it was either one or the other or something, but I realise now it's a two-step process. Yeah.
Yeah, there's
and that's the same with the water and the gas and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, and your council tax.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one.
Well, you just go on their website and put Minister Emoven at that address, and that's it. You press the button, it's gone. Or you can call them up and say, hello, I'm Minister Emoven, update your records. Where was your last address? Oh, I'm under non-disclosure, I can't disclose that. What's your date of birth? Or do I have to give you that? No, you don't, not really. No, I don't, that's right. So you're actually trying to data harvest. But anyway, make one up.
Yeah.
And what's the other question? Have you got the occupier's forwarding address? If I did, I wouldn't give you it.
Yeah.
I mean, you want me to so you can go chase after that poor soul as well?
Yeah, yeah.
Or you can say, yes, I have. It's the Suites, 125 Home Street, Halifax, HX7.
It's Mr. Emoven.
Go. Yeah. And so that is really, for me, the council tax is the most important one that you get done, because it's that they use as their point of reference to establish, is there an occupier at that property using a legal fiction that we can persecute?
Right.
And the answer to that is no. The data that you've got then, that nobody's going to buy that, are they? If every single account, every single address, every single country, and all of this planet has got Minister Emoven, will Minister Emoven stand up? Oh, we're all up then, aren't we?
What's that thing called they do every 20 years or whatever that begins with a C, and they go around the whole country gathering information?
Oh, census.
The census. Imagine that census the next time round when there's 40 million Minister Emovens.
I can't wait. I live for that day. I live for that day. But on this scale that it's at, it was enough to collapse their system as far as legal fiction belief goes, because they can no longer gamble that their data has got any value. So if instead to say about everybody's got coronavirus or you're all going to die of it, we can all bet on that. We can all bet. We can all hedge our bets now that everybody's going to die of coronavirus. Who's gambling, boys, in their private clubs? Oh, yeah. I'm going to bet the whole world and the planet and its resources that everybody dies of coronavirus. That's what Bill Gates is doing. And you're all accepting it. Why? Because you're using legal fiction so they can record whatever the hell you like, because you never really existed anyway.
Yeah.
So give them nothing. Who are you? Minister Emoven.
So is Minister in place of Mr.? And is M the first name and Oven the second name?
You can do it how you like. If you need to split it into boxes. While I was assessing the inside of a prison cell a couple of years ago, last year, they were screaming the debt fiction, and I didn't go. So they were shouting, Emoven. I said, I'll come if you call me the name. I can't come to a name that's not mine. Well, can't you come and tell us it's not your name? I said, well, you think I'd be psychotic if I keep popping up and saying, not my name, not my name. So every time you call somebody's name. So I said, shall I come if they call your name? So yeah, they called Emoven. So I went in, and when you write the documents in there, it's who's your father, who's your mother. And my father's name is God. That's what I was writing on the documents. and my mother's name is Earth. And they were just, what can they do? They can't link, what they're trying to do is link your whole family's trust, that trust that was connected to that family trust when that person got married, your whole ancestral inheritance is what they're opening when you use that legal fiction. So, the
mother's maiden name, they love that, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, especially over here, I mean, it's all the time. It's what's your father's name? How dare you? I don't know, I'm a bastard. Really, it really stuffs up their laundering service if you learn to stand under non-disclosure. The truth is, we don't know, do we? It's just like you talked about on the other Zoom meeting, so I don't need to keep repeating myself. So in answer to the question about minister, if you look at Mr., Mrs., Ms., for me, it's all an abbreviation of minister.
Yeah, I like it. I'm going to be minister.
Get yourself a minister outfit and have some real fun with it. They kiss your hand and everything. They're really, really stupid. And when the judge sees you coming, they jump up and run away before you even get in the court. It's hilarious because they need to get a bishop. It says, I know what your game is, and the only person that you're kidding is yourself. But hey, I like dressing up, and I'm better to do, so I've come disguised as Minister Emoven. And where is your assignment of consent? You know what's coming, and you haven't got one, so you can't actually sit there. So it's
not while he's there.
Quite good fun is what I'm saying. So yes, at the moment we can all be very serious and we can all be like, oh, they're going to come and kill us, or actually it's you, you're going to kill yourself. You're going to sit there waiting for somebody to come along and save you, and it's you that was supposed to be getting up and saving yourself.
Cool.
Right. I need to clarify about using global fusion. Well, again, we don't use global fusion. That's it. The end. Next. Anybody else?
Hello, yes.
Come on, T5.
Hello. It's just a question about council tenants. I was speaking to a few people and, you know, they all love the idea, but when they ask me how, I need something simple to tell them.
Did you just listen to what I said?
Yeah, but what I want something just catch. Because what happens is I start rambling on,
Okay.
and I'll just lose interest straight away.
You pick up
Short
the
and
phone.
simple.
Okay. You pick up the phone, you say, hello, I'm Minister Emoven, update your records, please, bye. Is that simple enough?
So I could do that for them in front of them and do that for them.
Yeah, or you can go on to the website of the council tax and put moving in. Or you can listen to this video again in slow motion and you can hear me say it as many times as you like.
I do. Yeah, but that's fantastic. Oh, another question regarding cars.
Yeah.
Okay. Once you've exported your car and you have an accident, what's the situation there?
Oh, wow.
Say I bumped into someone, it's totally my fault.
You would
I
hope you would say, you'd get out and say, I'm awfully sorry, I'm Minister Emoven, how can I make this, or how can I settle this liability that I've just caused you? Well, you bloody lunatic, which way you going next time, or whatever it is that they're going to do to you. And say, right, okay, here, where is it that you're from? Well, I live here. Okay, I've opened my phone or open the little map that Cara's done, and you check out for the nearest mechanic who's given us 5 hours to fix the car, and organise it for it to be removed with one of our new tow trucks from AAA Clayton, coming to get you. So yes, yes. That's what you would do.
I've got one more question. Yeah, I mean that makes total sense to me.
You would act as...
I did a job for someone today. So shall I talk?
We're waiting.
Mate, I think there's a little bit of a delay on
there is.
My end. I did a job for someone today, and it was like a callback, and they said, "Well, how can we pay you?" And I've told them about the university law and everything, and I said, "Well, you can pay me in kindness credits." So I got them to do me a receipt. So they're an elderly couple, retired. So would that count as a kindness credit in our system?
Well, what does it say on your receipt?
I've not got it yet. I told them to write it out for 3 hours work.
Right, okay. So
I was there about 3 hours talking to them.
It's a very effective way of being able to record your 5 hours. And I don't know why we haven't thought of doing that already. But
yes.
That's a very good idea, to get somebody to sign a receipt of your kindness, and your receipt books are full and you keep your ledgers like that. It's a great idea. So you're not charging them slave tokens?
No, I didn't. No, they wanted to pay me, and I.
Now at that point,
I didn't want to, because it was a faulty product anyway. So, but just out of their kindness, they offered to pay me. So I said, no, you can just pay me in kindness.
Well, that's very nice. If you give them a rock, you can say, and it's an exchange, right? And you say, yeah, pay me with this, I'm giving it to you now. And they'll be like, what the bloody hell's that? Well, I'm giving you, at the moment you haven't got any kindness credits, have you? That look like this. But not, you have.
Okay.
You've given them kindness. So you've got kindness credits, haven't you?
Yeah.
All right. So if you, and as a token, take a little rock and put your thumbprint on it. and write Casey on it and give it to them and say, you can pay me with that. And that starts the conversation.
Okay, yeah, so what? Yeah, well, we've already had the conversation. So what I'll do, I'll go back. This guy's a scientist.
Wow.
And he specialises in Parkinson's disease. And he's not well himself either. So, and he was very interested in what I was talking about, but he's already paid his mortgage off. So,
right, so he'll have council tax.
I have been practicing, yeah. But sometimes I get a bit tongue-tied with.
That's what the rock will help you.
Some of.
So when they then give you that rock back, you write the receipt then. So you write 2 hours work, 1 kindness credit, and what I would do at that point, I'd say I'd give them the rock. I'd take the receipt, give them a copy of the receipt, and say I'm going to give you that, and I'm going to come back at some point, and there's the website, and that rock is going to stand surety to all of your liabilities, so you don't have to end your days in slavery.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's how you put, I mean, they're clean kindness. That's clean kindness exchange. That it's got no slave tokens involved in there, apart from the ones that they used to begin with. But you severed that contract with the slave tokens the minute that you said, no, I don't want you to pay me.
Yeah.
And it's as simple as that. I don't want you to pay me, but I do need this. Well, I haven't got that, but I know somebody who has. Or I've got a little app that can find that thing that you need.
Yeah. Yeah, I was holding about the food and everything, and bills, everything. But what I say to people is, for the 5 hours, for my 5 hours a week, I'm going to help you out, and you out, and you out, and that's my 5 hours. I'll put 10 hours, 20 hours in a week, I don't mind.
Well, I'm hoping that people will see that it's whatever it was that I used to have to ask people to give me slave tokens for, whether it was $600 a month to cover all of those things that they've now parked over here and put a lid on it. That's what I can give into my community. If I normally would have had to charge people £1,000 a month spread out between whoever it is that was coming to me to cover my overheads, and I can give £1,000 worth of kindness credits into the community instead. I don't need it, do I? I don't need you to pay for my electricity, gas, water, council tax, whatever, debt, mortgages. Why am I asking you for slave tokens? Well, I want to pay for a flight on holiday. Okay, so you've divided by the people that you've got who you see in a month. How much do you really need to charge them? 1%. And there you've got the inverted pyramid system of it standing on its head, where 1% of your energy and 1% of somebody else's energy supports 99% of their lives, instead of the other way around, where we're all putting 99% of our energy in to support 1% of this reality. So I think it's wonderful what you've done there.
Yes, it's a start, and obviously, I believe in learning by doing things and listening, So listening to you has helped me speak to other people with confidence.
Well, I'm very pleased. That's great news. Do you want to put your email address in the chat box so I know, because your only initials have come up on the screen?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Thanks, and thank you for sharing that.
Well, you've spoken to me before. I'm a gas engineer, by the way, to any of the other listeners. And in the property I'm in, been there 3 years, I took their meter out and I put my own meter in. And no one's been around to say anything. Because it's not illegal to put, you can purchase your own, well, I mean, obviously I didn't know about you back then. So, yeah, it's just not contracting with them, I found. So I'm going to change it over to, sorry?
So whereabouts are you? Not
Seaford.
Seaford.
gas man in Seaford. Dave,
Okay.
I must say, can I just say, I'm normally very shy, but universal law has came through me, and now I'm speaking to everybody.
Where's Seaford? Is that down south?
Down south, yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Calm down, Baz. We've got one for you. It's all right.
Hey, the sooner I get these out, the better.
I'll come up there, but I want, I want more than 5 hours worth if I come up. I've got a friend up there as well. Yeah.
Right, well, we'll connect your two email addresses together then, and network these people that you know up there. But it's really wonderful to hear such lovely, empowering stuff coming out. It's great.
Just going back to something that T5 mentioned a minute ago, know about the car. If you were to have an accident and things like that, and okay, then you can get your mechanic to do the 5 hours and that. As we know now, we live in a compensation culture. So it doesn't matter how small the ding is in someone's car, straight away they're jumping out. Whiplash, whiplash. So where's what's the situation there then?
Yeah, but also you can only get, in the UK, you can only get fully comp insurance.
Yeah, that's all it is nowadays.
Right.
So,
okay.
they just claim on their own.
You've always been claiming on your own insurance, even when you have insurance, and really what you're doing is paying 1% to the insurance broker to do what it is that I just explained there, to organise a pickup or a mechanic or a recovery company to come and clear up the liability, really. What happens is you need to have that insurance, extra insurance, because you're supposedly in commerce. Your share of the planet and its resources is sat behind that birth certificate, and you've released it. Now, at the point where if somebody wants to be compensated, how would you compensate them? In what way will we compensate them? Well, I want 10,000 quid. Okay, 10,000 slave tokens worth of kindness credits to be deducted from your gas, water, electricity, council tax and your mortgage for the rest of your life. Not just now, forever. Sorry. I'm really sorry that I hit you.
Fantastic. I love it.
You just take the liability.
Anyway, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
May I ask a question related to that, please?
Sorry, there's two people talking at once, sorry.
So it's Liz. I was wanting to ask a question related to the car thing that I was discussing with my husband today. What happens if you kill somebody, God forbid? What happens with that, please?
What happens now? You just relay it back to yourself. What happens now?
You're charged.
All right, okay, you're charged, yeah.
You get charged, but okay, and so if you've killed somebody through your lack of responsibility, then obviously you, under universal law, you have to first of all hold liability. What we've been living is a life of hiding from our liabilities. We've been handing them to the insurance company or to the court or whatever, and we've been capping our liability, limited liability. Now, let's say that your insurance company has set a limit on what they would pay out if you hit somebody and killed them, then what if their family needed more than that? What happens then? Wouldn't it be much better to be able to turn around as a community and we all stand surety to one another and say to that family whatever it is that you need and whatever it is that you would have suffered a loss from through the actions of one of our community? What can we do as a community to ease that? Nobody's there. I can't compensate you with slave tokens for killing your dad, can I? I can't pay my way out of breaking the law, can I? How can I limit my liability in this commercial system? Yes, you can. You can say, right, okay, well, I was driving and I'm now going to go to the prison and they're going to launder my credit file, and is that going to bring your father back? No, it's not. Instead, wouldn't it be better that we took and accepted the responsibility and said, look, you know, well, I'm here to support that family in any way that I can in order to try to settle the debt of the liability that I caused. What can I do? What can we do as a community altogether? Why have we got a community where we've got reckless drivers? Because they're insured. So they're like, to hell with it, you know, but no, I'm not holding the liability. I'm an incapacitated legal minor. I've gone paid my slave tokens. I can drive like a maniac because I know if I hit and kill somebody, the person that I hit and kill, they're going to accept the slave tokens out of my insurance policy. There you go, drive like a maniac. We have to look at what it is that we are crediting in every single way, you know, pull it all out. And we have got a nation of irresponsible individuals who think that they can be bought off because they can, because they are, you know, can even vaccinate me and my children if you pay me if it goes wrong. Are you serious? And now even that's been pulled away from you. There's no indemnity for that, and you're still going to line up and have it, even though you've been told that this hasn't been tested and, you know, they've got no liability. While you're all running around trying to limit your liability of the claims that you don't even know that you're making on your own insurance, from your birth certificate, your own dividends, and the court who've taken you in there by the police because you didn't have, you know, are now going to say that you broke the law and all of these acts and whatever it is, and that you can possibly remedy that liability that you caused through money and your own incarceration. You what? Is that not compounding the debt, first of all? And is it not giving us an excuse to be able to behave like the people with limited liability? We should have every single thing that we create, we should hold the vicarious liability for it, not hand it away and say it's somebody else's problem. And do you know what you find when you drive more carefully? You don't put people in that situation. You don't drink and drive. You don't, and I used to do it. I was insured, fuck it. Go to prison, so what? And because I've given away all of my responsibility. And, you know, and going through that process of where, you know, it absolutely horrifies me at the idea that there was a time when I would get in a car inebriated. How dare I put other people at risk? And then turn around and say, oh, it's okay, I've got insurance. I'm not insured anymore for causing people liabilities. That's what we've been standing surety to. Liabilities. What about we look at and create a circumstance and situation where the idea of having to insure yourself against the liabilities that you create stop even being imagined as being all right? So we take back the responsibility of it and we say, right, okay, you know, how did that happen? This is where it's really important now that we start to get these people's protection patrols in place and organising ourselves into organisations and companies, people who are providing you free energy. We've got people, engineers like we talked about before, designers, computer programmers came on today. You know, the bones, if you like, of you've got the sweat equity, and then you've got the bones of the people who create the skeleton of the structure that we've all been supporting. They're out now. So it's only that what's limited at the moment is our imagination, and it's causing us a liability. So if we can set that aside and start to create communities where we, you know, accept the liabilities that we all create as our own, it's a reflection of ourselves and our communities, isn't it?
Okay, thank you. Thanks very much.
Can I ask a question, please?
Yes.
So I already do free community work with my alternative therapy, but I'm just going into universal law, coming through the path of common law. I don't pay my water because I've already done that time I moved out, and that. What I really want to do is expand my free community work. However, I'm having to earn slave tokens to pay my mortgage and my other household bills. So if I was to say to you, what's the quickest way that I can get into doing my free community work, what would you say?
Discharge all of your mortgage and your bills, and then you've got all of that time left to do more community work with.
Yeah, that's what I do. So shall I just jump in and just do it? That's how I feel I want to do it.
Well, it's the only way you're going to find out, love, if it works or not. And that's really, you know, you're doing it for all the right intent, because you're releasing your energy to invest in helping people. That's kindness credits, you know. That's
I
it.
definitely want to do that. Yeah, I definitely want to, because I want to wake people up to this, what it is that you've created in this community, which is what I do with my healing. So okay, so I'm very much the sort that would just jump in and learn whilst I've jumped in. So I think that's what I'll do then.
Okay, cool. That's great. You've answered your own question. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah, true. Okay, brilliant.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
sometimes you just need to sound off and you know, sound it off and have it echo back at you to hear yourself. You know.
Exactly.
Great.
I'll just say one more thing. The way that I earn my slave tokens is absolutely gross. I work for the dark side. I collect the data for the world. Is this going on YouTube?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Ooh.
I love it. Go on. So
I better not.
Why not? I used to sell you a slave.
Put it in the chat.
As long as my name hasn't been spoken, has it? No. Okay, so yeah, I collect the data.
You don't know what it is.
No, that's right. I collect the data for the World Health Organization. So during this time,
Can't you just put Minister Emoven in each house there and save me a job?
What do you mean?
Can't you just put Minister Emoven next to every piece of data that you've got access to?
No, I can't change the names. I'm not allowed to change the names. What I do is I read all the death certificates, the actual legal medical documents, check test results, x-rays, MRIs, all that, and then I compile the data for the World Health Organization.
And then you say it's coronavirus.
No, I'm the one that's always arguing that it's not, because what's vanished is the flu and ordinary seasonal chest infections. They've disappeared.
Well, it's wonderful to have somebody at that level speak the truth about that information. Welcome and thank you for sharing.
That's what I want to get out of that, because although I'm inside so I can find out everything, but at the same time I don't like, it's not integral. I don't feel integrous with the way I'm even earning these slave tokens. You know what I mean? I've got to get out.
Well, it's that's, you know, we've all done really terrible things, but that's really terrible. I mean, I can't say. I used to. It doesn't get worse.
Well, yeah,
I used to sell you as a slave, so I'm sorry too. Can we just all forgive the debt now? It doesn't matter. You know, we've all done. This is the whole point, and airing it, and actually saying and owning it, and saying it's much better than Alcoholics Anonymous. I've got a dirty hello. I'm Minister Emoven, and I used to have a dirty secret. And it was only a dirty secret because I hadn't told you, and now it's out there, and it's not a secret. No, I'm not, and okay, it's still a bit dirty, but it's the power's gone out of it.
Exactly. That's right.
So I mean, take those slave tokens and you know, invest them and convert them and support yourself into this position where you can help as many people as possible and offset that debt. That's you know, that's all we're really all doing. To what level of degree it is, the legible role for you must be quite quite big. You might have to do more than 5 hours. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh God, that's funny. Yeah, it feels like that.
You know, I'm here. I'm here till 2 o'clock in the morning, so what can I say?
Okay, thank you very much.
Lovely, thank you, and welcome. And any help, just the longitude and latitude sorts that out, and a TR1 document, and the acceptance. If you get a redemption notice, a final settlement figure from the mortgage broker or lender, supposedly debtor, then we can fill out the document for you as an acknowledgement of a bill of exchange for the right of use of the peacefully surrendered collateral used to offset and discharge whatever amount that is that you valued that right of use at against the outstanding debt that is owed to you all by HM government and agents thereof.
Okay, brilliant. Yes, I shall go for it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Any more for any more?
Hello, I've got another one.
Hello.
Hi. It's going back to the cars and things like that. Once it's got the ULCT plates and been exported via the V5, what if you then wanted to, you know, pass this car on, sell it on to somebody who didn't want the ULCT plates for whatever reason? They're still stuck in their that reality, and really want to pay the tax on it. What happens in that case? Is it a case of just re-registering it?
They would just re-import it. There's a V55, I think it is, or a V56.
Yeah. Okay. And as the second part of that question, which is slightly related, is about the driver's license. I'm sure I've heard you mention something about it before, but I can't for the life of me think of it right now. I must have listened to hours and hours and hours, and my head's puddled.
It's fraud.
So does that get canned?
It should do. It should be set fire to. It's fraud. Okay, so when you've got a driving license, you are saying that you are in commerce.
Yes.
That you accept that conveyance is now a vehicle. That you need then to have extra non-commercial fully comp insurance. And that you are, in fact, let's go over that bit again just a minute, because if I hit you now and I'm not insured technically, what happens? Put us in the court, don't they? And I say, yes, I'm very sorry, I did do that. Open my birth certificate, granting you the right of use for this one-off instantaneous use to do what your job is, which is to act as a bank and discharge those charges in the commercial realm, because this man here doesn't want to accept my offer of settlement, which really should zero the account, or which is to go to my community and have the remedy applied there. So he brought me here and he wants slave tokens. And so at that point there, when that's what's happening anyway, people need to understand this. When you go and put the birth certificate is being opened in the court, and the charges that they're laying against it is discharged, and the poor guy who actually had the accident gets 1% of that, and it comes out of his own claim. So the only people who benefit, the court charged the trust account 30 grand for the session. Then they smash the charges against putting the party into the prison, the private prison. So G4S and Serco can have a bite of the pie. And so and really what we're doing is we're passing the liability of that. I think that you can pay me off with slave tokens on to somebody else. The debts, that libelous mind stops or starts or continues with you. That's the choice that we've got. So you have an indemnity cover. What is your indemnity cover? 10 quadrillion. There I am, secured party creditor. There's the filing number. And unless I can cause 10 quadrillion worth of liabilities, I'm good to go. If I do cause a liability, you can take it out of that pot there and discharge any liabilities that I incur with any insurance company over there with my share of that asset that is represented with that filing. We're going up a step now. We're going into brokering open your own credit file, and this is the executor part of your trust as minister and then with all the rights reserved and the shares assigned. So, and only you can do that. Now, if you've made an offer of settlement, somebody's refused it, the debt's zero. There's no liability. You need to remember that part too. So, in answer to your question about the insurance, in what way are you implying that?
It was about the driving license, not the insurance.
Sorry, the driving. So the insurance, the driving license means that you have to have this other insurance. So
right.
if you can drive, I mean, if I take your driving license off you, does it stop you being able to drive?
Not at all.
No, you don't suddenly forget how to drive, do you?
No.
No, we're not recommending that everybody goes and gets in the car and drives around. If you're not competent at driving, that's where self-determination comes in. But if I've got to come over and, I know some amazing drivers who've never done their test and drive all sorts of things because they weren't conditioned into, drive it like this and that's it. And you get a little tick in the box and you never try anything else because you think it's out of your capabilities. So, where it's like the education curriculum. The driving license goes behind your trust. That's recorded in your ledger book roll. So you assign the driving license number. And you've got your ULCT plates on, you've got your indemnity cover, your minister and event. The conveyance has gone to export, so there's no tax liabilities on the VIN number anyway. And that's it.
So this driving license doesn't need amending in any way. It just goes it just gets logged into the trust.
Yeah, if the police can prove that you were in commerce, then the driving license information will be released to them, so that they can do their little bit then, can't they? They can have their little game of commerce then. Because if you were in commerce, if you were for reward, hire or gain, or driving a lorry and you weren't exchanging your energy and kindness credits, you're in commerce. Pay your tax, because you're breaking universal law because you were using slave tokens. So pay them. You deserve everything that you get.
Yeah.
If you're using slave tokens, look at what is happening to people now. You've all been using slave tokens. They can come and shut your business. They can starve you out. You're under siege and you're all sitting around waiting for somebody to say it's all right for you to open your business. If you decided to convert your money at point of sale, before point of sale, and used rocks at your point of sale, you'd be open tomorrow because they could not come because you are not in commerce. So even if you're a taxi, you're still not in commerce because you changed the money when he gave it to you with a rock and took the rock back and wrote in the receipt and off you go. What am I now? Private hire? I've got a whole new different meaning of the word, hasn't it?
And so if you got, say, for example, pulled over and it was an issue, say, for points and things like that, and you got you got a producer, where would the fact that the driving license is within the trust, does that protect it?
How are you gonna? Okay, so I'm policeman. Pull you over. Right. I don't recognise this number. I don't recognise this number plate. What are you gonna say?
I'm going to say it's registered with the ULCT.
I'll say because you can't recognise it. What do you think you're doing, stopping me?
Yeah.
If it's not recognisable to you,
it's out of their jurisdiction, basically.
Are you pretending that you can see something that you can't recognise? You just said to me you can't recognise something. What are you? You're telling me that you can't see something? Are you all right? Are you having a little moment there where you're telling me that you can't see something? Well, we don't recognise that. Okay. Well, what? Recognise what are you talking about? That number plate. Well, I thought you said you couldn't recognise it. Can you see that number plate? Yeah. Do you know what recognize means? Yeah. So you can see that number plate, you can recognize it. I can recognize it as a number plate that I can't recognize. Wow. You've got a crazy one here. Would you like to see, would you like me to show you some papers that you don't recognize either? Oh, well, you know, get them in the corner with their lunacy. And even if I did have number plates that I recognized, that you, even if I did have the number plates on that you recognized, then I would be the lunatic, because I'd be pretending to be in commerce, and then you'd have a right to stop me because I'd be displaying number plates to say that I consent to you stopping me. But as I haven't got number plates on to imply that I'm in commerce, so you can't stop me, what are you doing stopping me? And have it on the side of the road. And, okay, get to the point where I'm going to arrest you. Who are you going to arrest? What's your name, Minister Emoven? Put that on your paper and smoke it. Well, we don't recognise that. Well, we didn't recognise the number plate that you stopped me for, that you're saying now that you can see it, but you can't recognise it. And now you're saying that you can't. Do you know what you mean? You can't cognise it. I know you can't cognise it. And that's why you can't initiate your system, because you can't. I've not joined it with it. Where is your license? You say to the policy enforcer, what do you mean my license? I'm PC blah blah blah, Metropolitan Police. Yeah, but you haven't got a license from Universal Law Community Trust. You're operating as an unlicensed cartel of a protection racket. And I, as the secured party creditor, haven't handed you an assignment of consent. And I would only be consenting to it if I had the number plates on that you recognised. So now you're telling me that you're actually trying to coerce me into supporting a slavery system that you're in operation of, which means that you can't be a policeman because you're trying to get me to break the law. So are you impersonating a policeman now?
They are.
Well, if you're impersonating a policeman, it's 7 years, and I'm obliged under universal law to arrest you. Now, do you want me to arrest you? In which case, obviously, you're going to throw me on the floor and kick me in because you're a bully boy bastard, really. And that's what you wanted to do anyway. But know this, the minute that you do, we'll be going down there, and it will be me that's laying the counterclaim against you. So really, you're just wasting your time, and you're just trying to steal people's property, which you haven't got a license for. You can't initiate this process until I consent to use a legal fiction that doesn't belong to me. So either way, you're a criminal. Take your pick.
I've heard you talk similar in other things about this, and with that today, that I've wrapped my head around it, because even that driving license, it isn't ours, is it?
No, I need, you know, it's capitalising on my right to travel freely, because I've consented to accept a game of commerce on my rights.
But it boils down to the definition also of what is a license.
It means I've got a sense to lie to you. I have a sense to lie. I'm lying to you. So I'm the government, and I'm lying to you because I'm telling you you need a license.
Well, that's it. Under their definition, a license is permission to do something that's illegal.
Well, that's why they won't give you one to use the legal fiction.
Uh,
And I suppose the driving license, I suppose you can look at it like that. It is, you know, when you say, have I got a license to use the legal fiction? Well, I've put my picture on it. So it's giving me a sense to lie about who I am.
And I don't feel good about that.
It's not very nice, is it? You know, and I'd rather sit with myself for 72 hours in a freezing cell or whatever, you know. I mean, some of the places over here that I've frequented in my putting this into practice, let's say, I think it's been worth every single second of it, because what you get out at the other end of this is truth, and not just for yourself, but for all of those people that had a part to play in this. It completely destroys their own fiction in their own mind, you know. And so, yes, you can go and sit on the beach and pretend that, you know, I'm all right, I'll paint some rocks. But you're not all right, because the other parts of you are still enslaved. And until we get all of these other parts of ourselves out of this complete lunacy, then, you know, the peace of mind is a fiction too, because it's not complete without all of us vibrating and with that frequency. So the more help we can be to one another, just by, you know, standing surety to one another, we all know that they're breaking the law. So even if that, just that bit, never mind the secured party creditor and the debt equity swaps and all of that, you know, these people are breaking the law. At what point do you say, right, I am obliged under the law to prevent a crime from being enacted? Just that enough should be, alone should be enough for us to at least have all of our own private protection patrols. You guys out there, and women as well, you know, you're obliged to uphold the law. Where is it? That's why these bastards can get away with it, because we have commonly accepted the common law to be commerce. And that's what our fraud is of ourselves, because we're trying to find which way out of here is the law. Just do not commit that fraud upon your soul, and that legal system disappears overnight. You don't need to do anything about going and standing in the streets and stuff like that at this point, although it is good to demonstrate that in, and I don't mean go and demonstrate in it with waving banners and stuff. I mean by going en masse to these places that, you know, the Biomedical Research Centre, if that was in, you know, I don't know, Syria or somewhere, we'd have bombed the shit out of it. But there it is in your back garden, all bubbling away, waiting for the right time to pick you off one by one. There's no one by one anymore. It's Minister Emoven at every single household. And if if I see you going up the path of somebody else's house, I'm coming out. If I see somebody getting a ticket in the street, what is going on? Who are you? I just walk past them, because I'm complicit. I'm an accomplice if I do. And they call me, oh God, here she comes, going to get involved. And don't get involved. What do you mean don't get? I'm involved. I'm involved. This is going on right in front of you, and you're now going to say you're not involved. What are you? An ostrich?
You reminded me of something just before when you mentioned spending a bit of time inside the four walls, counting hours or whatever. You mentioned something the other day about coming back into the UK with your live birth certificate, and I was wondering about yourself coming back here, comparing that to somebody trying to use that to go somewhere else, you know, especially any, you know, South American country or East Asian country, trying to leave the UK might be one thing, but trying to get into another place where tolerance levels aren't as, you know, aren't as much. I was wondering, you know, how do people manage to cross borders with this live birth certificate, or when you go into places like that, have they just used the live birth certificate to obtain a passport, and in which case, which name is the passport in?
There is something called a stateless person's travel documents, and there is also something called minister plenipotentiary, and there is also something called ambassador of your own state, a diplomat passport. Now, your live born record if you want to use it, phone the Home Office and talk to you about this before. I haven't travelled to those places. I cannot answer that, and I won't hypothesize about something that I don't know. I know that people have used evidence of life forms, which is the right name, not the birth certificate, to get a passport with, and the name is whatever it is that you've claimed by putting it on that life form record. The same thing is what happens with the refugee. Where are you from? What's the name that you're claiming? Where can you prove that you're from? Well, I don't want to prove that I'm from anywhere if I know that if I fail at the second level asylum assessment, I'll be sent back to the country that I claimed I was from the universe. Send me back there. I would, I mean, we're all refugees of capitalism. This is what we call the shop. It's a refuge for refugees from capitalism. That was the first one in Icania. And everybody's like, refugees? Well, refugees. They all thought we were, you know, trafficking people from Syria and Turkey to start with. And really, you know, you've got to look at yourself. Look at what Palestine, you know, we all now know what it feels like to be, and what we're going down the same track as what they've done to Palestine. We're under occupation of a nihilistic state. That's got us all believe. So what's a nihilistic state? It's got you believing in no thing. What do you believe in? I believe I'm a no thing. I believe I'm a legal fiction, and I've just assigned myself to that. So what is it that what is it you can believe instead? Everything that's not no thing, whatever that is. Everything that's not a thing.
What was the one you mentioned in between stateless persons travel documents and the diplomatic passport? I didn't hear that. I was busy writing.
Chat box. Plenipotentiary. Now this is their definition. Plenipotentiary. It's a Greek word. Of course, because it's all Greek to all of us. I mean, it's amazing to find this all of this amazing history that is waiting for us to rediscover about what I believe our real origins are, which is Hellenis, is people of the Rock of Light, and this language that they've got that we've had corrupted versions of to create our chaos with. This word plenipotentiary, it's ambassador of your own state. It's and contact the Home Office and, like, you know, like I've said on other Zooms, and say I don't particularly feel comfortable using the birth certificate because it says it's not to be used for ID. Is there anything else that I can use?
Okay.
But really, do you want to don't we really? It's like dealing with the symptoms. It's like pharmaceutical mind. We deal with the symptoms instead of the cause. That Home Office is part of this bankrupted corporation. You need your own documentation. You need your own level of standard of border control, and you need to be able to determine with the organizer. When they became private corporation, they opened the doors for have a look at what happens when public services become a private corporation. What does it mean? And there was Polly, you might remember this. Are you still on? There was actually a website, I mean, it was Empty Portal, about setting up your own equivalent of your own community council, because they'd thrown open the public services for private tender, let's say, for their little friends to create these corporations so that they could launder your equitable rights through their little service that they got going on. So you've got, let's say, refuse collection. So they've got, right, you set yourself up as refuse collection and you can bid for the contract from the council, like you've been seeing with the hospitals and the prisons. So they privatised all that you were as a trust, turned it into a corporation, and then laundered your liabilities. Okay, so I live in a commercial world, I have lots of plastic rubbish, and so now you need a refuse collector. So now the refuse collector can be laundered through the treasury account so that it's providing me with the service of my sanitation. And the same goes for hospitals. And if you imagine this there sitting at the center of this web, if you like, is your mind. Because you haven't bothered to go amongst the community and say, look, this is how a government's created, or this is how a community trust is created, or this is how a bank is created, or this is how money works, or this is where our food comes from, or this is what our education looks like. And those people, this is what you're doing now, this is the step that you're at. So by you getting those people together who are like-minded, who are not going to stand and sit around and accept this so-called definition of law, which legal being lawful, because it's not. And they're saying, right, okay, well, can you do better than Boris? Oh, yes, we can all do better than Boris. So go to your community and say, look, you at the moment are contracting to Leeds City Council, and they're charging you this amount of money to provide this service, this service, this service. If you assign your consent to Universal Law, Community Trust, then on this website, then we as a community can provide you with this service, this service, this service, and this service. And it's going to cost you 5 hours of your time. Which company would you assign your consent to? And then they say, right, okay, well, what are you going to do with all my rubbish? Well, we're not as stupid as these people. We were going to take the rubbish and we're going to put all the plastic into these special machines that some of our engineers have created that the other council won't let you have because they're tied to the petrochemical industry. And we're going to separate the petrol from the water. We're going to recycle it. And if you want, what you can do is you can have a percentage of the dividends as we then put that into that resource then of the water into creating electricity. Do you want to play kind of credits game now? If you want to play, you like to play like a little dabble and gambling, okay. Tell us how many people in the next 6 months, there you go, there's one for you. The Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan. How many people are you going to gamble on? First of all, don't die of coronavirus, since they're all listening to this message and not having buy any bullshit anymore. But also, how many thousands of people, I wonder, are going to assign their consent to Universal Law Community Trust and become Minister of Emoven? I think you should take it as your last gamble, personally. But if so going back to this, this now, you've turned that is capitalizing, but I haven't got to the point of the money yet. What is it that you're getting in dividends? I'm getting a holiday in South Africa. I'm getting a pot of exchange where I don't need any slave tokens whatsoever. So because I bothered to show due diligence to say, right, I get this, these are my shares, I'm investing my shares into this company. This company needs a share of my water, here you go. This company needs a share of my petrochemicals, here you go. That's what they've been doing. And this is what I'm trying to teach you, is that this is what you can do in your community just by organising yourselves into under, I don't know, Universal Law Community Trust, Lancashire, like has already been done, Dorset, London, and work together to provide those things for the community. And the dividends, what are the dividends? They're all of the things that my community that I live in can't provide me with, that would normally have been considered a luxury. It's normal. It's normal for you to be able to afford a holiday. You know, a holiday from what? I've only been trying to go on holiday for 2 weeks of my life to get away from this shit slave token life that I've been living, so that I can keep my head above the water for another 50 weeks of it. You don't need a holiday. What do you need to do? Oh, I don't know. I just want to, I don't know, sit in the long grass and meditate. Whatever it is that you came here to do, be that. So, as far as I wouldn't be even considering, and I don't consider, first of all, that I need a passport, because I went to where it was that made me feel like home. That, you know, I never want to leave such a place. So, you know, I sent my stall out and I thought, right, if water is coming, was coming, and I believe that was what was coming, then sorry if I projected but
keep going.
I got in that position where I thought, right, I'm in a place that I never want to live, and everything that I've got an access to is because I determined it for myself. Now, the idea that all of you guys are under siege over there is, absolutely boils my brains. But it does no good until you see it for yourselves how easy it is for you to get the community. Right now, they're absolutely right. They're gasping. They're waiting for somebody to come and save them. Minister Emoven, come on, put your superhero outfit on. Give them the show that they want, that they're waiting for Donald Trump to come dancing down the street, and say, here you go, guys, put your chip in. You've got 1,200 slave tokens of credit. Aren't I good? Vote for me again, won't you? And, it's up to you, or it's up to you to wait for them to decide what's coming next. But I know that if somebody came to my door and said, right, we're setting up this company, and this company is going to discharge all of your liabilities in exchange for 5 hours a week, will you come and join us?
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, won't you? You're going to get rid of all of my liabilities if they just come with you for 5 hours. It's too good to be true. Oh no, you must be lunatic. Okay, well, I know that I've only got to get 5 no's before I get 1 yes. And the more prolific you get at this, the 97% hit rate of the people that you give a rock to, they will take some action, even if it's just going and having a look at the website and going, oh, you're a lunatic, and shut it. You've planted that little seed. And so what if they think you're crazy, We used to do crazy stuff. We used to go and sell insurance to people that, had they known this, they would have thrown rocks at you at the door for even suggesting such a thing, and no one would have deserved it. Somebody asked, what's your background? I mean, bloody hell. Insurance, trusts, money exchanges, the estate agents. What bit do you want? Taxi driving, what do you want? Time sharing. It was all been brought to being able to create this. And all of you bringing some amazing stuff to add to it, and it's just growing in this beautiful form. And the best thing is getting the feedback from you all saying about going and meeting each other up. It's brilliant. No, I don't know that name. I don't know. So, have you got any more questions?
Hi, yeah, it's Woody here. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hey, first time using it. My laptop with a microphone. You sent me a message earlier today about the lady in Scotland whose family had basically had a not very pleasant experience. Would you be looking at restoration of rights there?
That I'm not going to disclose that on here, Woody.
Yeah, fair enough.
We have to
understand
that. Certain things. We just have to be. What's the word?
Cautious.
Not cautious. Well, might be cautious for you. I don't know. If it's not one word I would have chosen.
Diligent.
Vigilant. Yes.
Yeah.
A restoration of rights is vigilant. Yeah. So I'll this is really important that we showed due diligence and didn't all of that words, all of those things, just to reserve our own rights, and everybody else's who are involved. So
I have been in touch with the lady. I managed to track her down. I've sent her a.
But we're not
short...
talking about this on here. We just said, didn't we? Or did I not just say that?
Right. Fair enough.
Okay. Just reserving your rights.
Yeah.
I'm under non-disclosure, but blah, 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 blah. And oh yes, I'm under non-disclosure.
I've been in touch with a lot of people today over a lot of
good.
things.
I'm sure I've heard you've been about a bit, and it's very nice to hear you.
I'm like that. I'm like that bad smell. Like smelly feet, you just can't get rid of me.
Good. Because we all love smelly feet that you can't get rid of. I think you need to define yourself as something much. I'm sure you don't smell.
I know people who disagree with that. I don't actually. Just
right.
me being a comedian as usual.
Okay. Have you got any more questions apart from whether Woody smells?
Do I?
Has anybody got any evidence that Woody smells?
Thanks for that.
No, I'm asking. You're the one who's saying. I mean, it sounds like a false claim to me, but I'm just wondering whether
not just
any evidence to support that claim.
It's not his feet that smell.
Oh, right, okay. Oh,
yeah,
so
my better half is saying that it's not just my feet that smell. So I think I may need a shower.
Right. Okay. So we have got a witness then. Are you seconding that claim? Okay. Woody stinks, right? And so say all of us. So, have you got anything else to tell us, Woody, other than about your bodily odour?
I suppose I've just been in touch with a few people, just trying to grow the community up here. Hubs have been mentioned. I've connected with the hubs, but they're not really they're really more people who would be interested in this rather than people who are already part of this. So I'm only just a member there, but I'll drop a little bit of me in before I start actually promoting much, shall we say. But for the people locally, it seems to be growing just through word of mouth. I think there's about 10, 12 people that expressed interest and wanting to know more. We've pointed towards the Facebook group and the website. So I've been a little bit busy, shall we say.
That's great.
But constructively as towards how moving it forward, really at this stage, it's just a case of trying to get people together. I think we're going to be having a chat sometime soon as a collective, and just hope the neighbours don't phone the police on us, which could be a little bit embarrassing. But yeah, the point is that I'm trying to get to speak to people locally so that we can start to get this moving. Everybody I've spoke to has been extremely positive. One or two little wrinkles because for some people this is all very, very new stuff. People such as myself who've been around this for a long, long time, I thought I were quite wide, I were quite clued up, and I am with an awful lot of stuff. But this is still, it's like if you've been a mechanic on a car, for instance, and all of a sudden brings you a car that you've never seen before, you've got to adjust a little bit. So it's things like the procedures are different and processes are different, and obviously the mindset is different. For a long time I've played about with definitions of word. I spent years when I were writing to places changing whatever their definitions of key words were, what the key adjectives were. I was changing them into something that made sense to me. I didn't care what their definition were, and I would do that. I would ask them, what do you mean by this word? As far as I understand it, it means this, and I would give my little definition behind it. And once you commented the other day about changing the mindset, that really did strike a chord with me. And I think you might have seen I have changed approach now, because you were quite right. I was still stuck within that framework, and it's funny speaking to the people that I've spoken to. That's the thing now is jumping out at me, is mindset that I had just 3 or 4 days ago, not to the same degree as those people, but I was still holding on to that mindset in my subconscious. It's disappeared now. So thank you for that.
You're very welcome, and thank you for exchanging that indebted mind. That's what this is all about.
Oh.
So, you know, in whatever level it is, that I'm sure that everybody is going to find some benefit somewhere along the line with it, even if it's just to get it out and examine yourself across it. Where am I in this? What part am I been playing? And am I happy to keep on crediting that? But, you know, we get so, what's the word, stoic, where it's like, this is me. I used to do it all the time. I've got a degree in molecular science, can't tell me anything. And I was the biggest arse walking, it turned out. So
yeah, I have encountered that yesterday, actually, from a lady who was, oh, I'm a psychologist and I practice NLP, and I'm sorry I turned the lady inside out in a very, very polite and very pleasant manner. But of course, she went and reported me to the admin of the group, accusing me of being this, that, and the other. And obviously, they had a look at it and they knew straight away what the story were, because as you've seen, I am not aggressive. I will be direct. I will say what needs saying, but I will try and do it in as nice a way as I possibly can. Because I do think that a big part of this, and from seeing quite a few things what you've said, it is that state of consciousness, that state of mind that we are all connected. And if you cause harm to another, you're causing harm to yourself. You're causing harm to your soul. So it's something that I can't do, is just blindly be aggressive with people. However, that is a massive change to how we were 5 or 6 years ago. I was as probably worse than the people that you see in all these other groups, because, like you said, I didn't know why weren't they listening to me. And I'm sure everybody is seeing this kind of behaviour from many, many people trying to wake others up. That's exactly what I was like. Now I understand how I was wrong in doing it that way. So yeah, it's big steps in small places. I think that's what tends to happen with most people, that the people who will find themselves here and stick around for more than a quick glance, they will be the people who this has come to them when they need it, because that's what the universe tends to do. It tends to present you with either opportunities to learn something or opportunities to grow. And this group dropped on me, and it fitted absolutely. If I explain the full story, we'd be here for quite a while, but I'd made certain promises to myself, and I'd spoken it out loud to the universe. I will do X, Y, Z by such and such a time. I was waiting to get certain other things lined up, and this was the period when I was going to do it. And on the day when I was going to start is when the link for Universal Law Community Trust dropped into my inbox, and it's just one of those moments, you know. So very special.
Oh, it's very lovely. What happened next?
It's happening.
No, I mean, and what? So you watched the link, and then what happened?
I got the link into my inbox, and it were in the middle of what I tend to do is skim. So I might get 20 messages, emails, or whatever. I'll just skim through all of them. Is that interesting? No. Is that interesting? No. Oh, what we got here? Oh, we'll save that one for later. That's what I did. Went back and had a look, and I were about a third of the way down the homepage, and that were on the website. And I reached the part where it says a trust within a trust within a trust. And every hair on my body stood up on end. I've got quite a long fluffy beard, and all of a sudden I look like a porcupine. It was just one of those moments, you know, like you've mentioned on your I can't remember which Zoom it were, but you mentioned on one particular Zoom about when you discovered a certain thing and your chakra went wild. It was one of those moments, because when I read those words, that is what I was going to be sitting down and doing just now, just on my own though, not as part of a community. Where it fits in for me personally and my partner is that we acquired some property in Spain. We've been looking for somewhere to set up something off grid because we wanted out, we wanted away from whatever. So we'd looked at doing this, and what we wanted to do on that land is to set up a small community, whether that's people coming and going, whether it's people coming and staying for however long they feel like. It didn't really matter. It was the point of community. I'd actually set up a Facebook group back in, I think it was April, May time, called Community. So I'm putting my intention out into the universe, and it pays you back. I mean, to people who this kind of thinking may be new to, putting your intent out there, the universe does listen, does pay you back. I don't care whether you want to call it God, Allah, whatever. I really don't care. There is something there. There is something that looks after us, that protects us. I went through a period of 7 years where I had many interactions with various agencies, various institutions, whatever, when I was at my belligerent worst. And yet I came through all of that unscathed. Everything that I knew was right came true. The places where I'd been wrong in my manner, in the way that I'd approached things, they were the things that I lost. But something like a 98% hit rate on dealing with various, shall we say, authorities, various places that think that they've got rights over you. And it was only when, in hindsight, this is one of the reasons why I am the way that I am now. I understand the mistakes I made because I've learned from them. And a big part of that is the love that you have to share. That this, for me, cannot be purely about what can I get out of it. I mean, yeah, it's nice if you've got a more comfortable lifestyle, but at what cost? Is that cost to other people? Whereas in the commercial world, it always is. Everybody that's got a big fat wallet is dumping on somebody else in some shape or form. And I've always felt that's just wrong. That one succeeds, that, you know, the system, as you know, because of the fractional reserve banking system, it's set up so that at least 1 in 21 people is going to fail. But that doesn't mean 20 are going to succeed. It means that you might get one that cleans it up off the rest, and there might be 4, 5, 6 individuals that fail within that system. I've always known it's wrong. I've always, you know, we've laid certain plans as a couple, as a family, for what we wanted to do and what we wanted to achieve and what we wanted to see. And for this to drop in my lap the way that it did, it told me the universe were pointing me in a certain direction. And when I saw those 3 words, as I say, because that's what I was looking to set up for myself and my partner, but having the support of a community behind that, it's really been a no-brainer for me, I have to be honest. But I do have a lot of experience with the concepts, the terminology, the thinking. You know, I've been down the road of, everybody's done the free man thing. I've been down that road. I've looked at the common law. I've looked at Magna Carta and Article 61. I looked at David Ward's stuff. And if you put it this way, every single Facebook group connected with those things that I've just been talking about, I've been kicked off them. Why have I been kicked off them? For asking questions. And yet I come here and I don't need to ask the questions because everything I want to ask is already laid out in front of me. So that for me tells me that the intent is right, if people understand that, because intent, it really is everything. You breathe your and speak your and act your intent to the universe, it's going to give you back maybe not what you've asked for, but you might get something much better instead. And that's what I seem to be finding. It happens, and I really do think that that's because I'm in balance now, whereas I weren't for a long time. But yeah, those 3 little magic words, well, 6 words, isn't it? Within a trust, within a trust. So yeah, I went through, I was just saying about the knowledge that I've acquired over the years. I've done a lot of Bible reading. I've sat and listened to all, I think it's 30 odd episodes of Marcus, who you may be familiar with. There were a post on the Facebook group about that the other day, from the mind of Marcus. There was also a guy called a Christian man named Dan.
No, thank you very much. You
yeah,
can save that for Marcus's webinars.
Yeah, I do like Marcus, and
Okay,
I do see the parallels.
Okay. I mean, it's really great that you're here, Woody, and I'm just really looking forward to when you're going to start to write your own script and your own glossary, and the wonderful stories that you're going to have to share with us about how you put this into practice and what you made with it.
Yeah,
Same as everybody else. And then, you know, we're not referring back then to, it's wonderful to listen to you talking firsthand, every firsthand experience, but when we start to go into referencing other people, it just, you know, like I used to go out with a guy and he wouldn't even buy himself a shirt unless he'd gone on and got 10,000 other people's opinion about making this decision, and and then it would be, what colour do I need in? And it's what I'm trying to do here is get everybody into that position where they're right, okay, whatever it was that I came across before didn't do me any bloody good, otherwise I would still be doing it. That's it.
I do think that's the point. I were really trying to give an idea that I've been down all these different rabbit holes. I've listened to all these people, I've heard their arguments, heard their opinions, tested a lot of it out, and all of it, to be quite honest with you, all of it seems to be coming from the wrong place. It all seems to be coming from a place of vengeance. And for me, that's really not what we're about. Taking back what's rightfully ours, that's a different story. Seeking vengeance is going above and beyond what you do, so to speak. That's the way that I see it. But no, I appreciate what you're saying about referencing other people's works. That's fair enough.
It's your own. I'm really interested in your own. So you've got this. You trust within a trust within a trust brought you to the page, made your hair stand up, and then you did your assignment. And so, how do you see it yourself panning out with what it is that you're trying to create? Are you involved with Liz there?
I do know Liz. We've spoken quite a few times over the last probably 6 or 8 months or so. Just little comments on various things. She's commented on stuff I've mentioned, and vice versa. And we've had a few conversations. But I don't actually know Liz. I didn't realise that she was part of this group, but now I do. I will be getting in touch again. But after that, after I've reached that point and I looked through what were possible, and I do have a bit of imagination, not too much, just enough, I believe. Other people tell me that I've got more imagination than I should have, because I do tend to end up making fun of things. And I know a lot of people, oh no, this has got to be deadly serious, whereas no, we can smile. What's the point in doing it if all you're doing it is with a frown on your face? I'd rather have a smile on my face, But where I see it going is if we can get these, the few people locally so far, and everybody that I've spoken to is along the lines of, oh yeah, great, so and so will love this. I think my sister might like this, or she might be interested. But at the same time, they're also making decisions for other people. Oh no, I don't think so and so would get it, and I don't think they'd get it, and they wouldn't do it because of this reason. So they're putting their intent out there. And again, that's one of the things that all you can do is give someone an opportunity and say, look, there's the door. It's unlocked, it's open. You want to walk through it. You've got a lot of people behind you to help you. If you decide you don't want to walk through it, that's your choice, because it is about free will. You know, it's about what you want to manifest. But if you make somebody aware that there is an alternative, that there is another way, there is another possibility, at least then they're aware of it. And then the next time someone mentions it, their interest might pick up. So I might mention something to somebody and, oh, yeah, I might get yeah. But then a week, a day, a month down the line, someone else, they might bump into someone else who says the same thing. At that point, there's more of a chance that they will turn around and say, oh yeah, I've heard about that, because it's no longer new, it's no longer novel, it's no longer something scary. Now it's something that's been implanted into the head, and they're going to think about it a little bit.
Even just speaking it into the ether, and especially doing this with the role plays and things like that, your mind doesn't know the difference. You talk about how it is already for you. Talk about how tomorrow I'm going to be going down to the shop, and I'm going to be going and seeing these people, and I'm going to be going collecting this food, and these people will be there, and these people will be there, and put yourself a little signpost up, and I'll know that I'm lucid dreaming when I see a little girl licking red lollies. Because that is actually what we're doing, you know, and so project
Tell me about it.
In full technical detail, you know, even down to the type of people that you're going to interact with. Get really prolific at this manifestation, because, you know, it's like going into Google and saying, don't show me pictures of fat ladies. You're going to see pictures of fat ladies.
Absolutely.
Because you're actually putting, it's our intent that we put out there.
Exactly.
And by doing this, you know, just the sharing, by you actually speaking it into the ether, it happens anyway. It's a collective consciousness. So
Absolutely.
yeah, keep going. It's great.
Well, the plans for tomorrow, what I try to do is something administratively every day, and I try to speak to at least 3 people a day. Now, whether that's on Facebook, which it's usually much more than that, if it's face-to-face, whatever, it's just trying to make those connections. Because if you've been in a sales-related environment, you know how that, you speak to 3 people, there's every chance they're going to speak to at least 1 or 2 more, and they're going to speak to 1 or 2 more.
They are, yeah. The way that this works is the guy who's just walked in here. It's just we open the shop. That's the way to do it. Open your shop, and that's it.
Yeah.
You don't need to. You can put a little sign outside. Wednesday afternoon, come and we had fry the fraud fritters. And they're like, fry the fraud fritters. Yeah, come in and let's talk about frying the fraud in your life, and you know, and sit around the table, and they're drinking coffee, and they're talking about what it is that they're doing, and what it is that they feel, the situation that they've been in. It's the whole package. You're a respite centre, you're a haven in this bloody sea of madness, and so he's just walked in now and just went, tell them to open the shop, is what I just said in the background.
Well,
and
the fun part of that is that when I first heard you speaking about veggie boxes and contacting local organic suppliers, they're the first steps, obviously, to try and make things go quickly. But what I'd done while you were speaking, I was visualising a particular shop that I know that's closed for a while. I do have contacts, but I do have contact with the guy that used to lease it, and it's been closed for quite some time. So that were the first path that I was going to go down. That was my first plan of attack. But I don't have particularly great health, so I do have to be cautious with a few things, particularly how much energy I expend, shall we say. So that's one of the reasons I was looking at getting as many involved as we could. And this particular town that I'm speaking of, where this particular little shop is, I think that this is the universe speaking back, because all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I've got 3 other contacts in that town. One's in particular is in the group. 2 of them are in the group actually, and I didn't know these people before. So all of a sudden, that's 3 times as many people, and we're going to be discussing this when we meet up. Looking at the possibilities, because I think that little town is perfect for it. Where I am here isn't quite so perfect. I think there'd be bricks through windows and all kinds of stuff in this area. There's some not very savoury people about. I mean, tonight, for instance, I had someone not approach me, but they were a second hand. Oh, that bloke there's not wearing a mask. And I could have said something, but I just smiled at them both on the way out of the door. Something that I couldn't see then do.
Can't you see I'm wearing one? It's my etheric mask. Are you blind? Don't tell me you can't recognise my mask as well as my number plates, for Christ's sake.
You see, if I were in my belligerent days, I would have confronted the guy and I would have said something like, "No, I'm sorry, you're wrong, because it says a face covering, and I've got a full face beard, so I'm wearing a face covering. How do you define a face covering?" That's the way that I used to be. I would confront somebody, try to correct the thinking and just put doubt back on them. And then all of a sudden they're answering questions, not me. But I try and avoid that kind of confrontation now. For me, it was far easier to share the love, to smile at them both, and they're not affecting me at all, and I'm on my merry little way. But yeah, getting a local community moving, I'm quite pleased that there's quite a few people there already, and just once that ball's rolling, it's just a matter of keeping pushing it, as you know.
I know what it's like pushing it. I've been here pushing it. Well, I haven't actually. This is the whole point. If I've been pushing it, I don't think it'd have got. It was when I don't know whether pushing it's the right word, but it signalling that something that makes the police run away from you is pretty powerful in your community. Even the unsavoury types want to know what's going on. Why? Never mind why aren't you wearing a mask? Why have you got your shop open? And I would have just gone across the road and given him a little squirt of some coronavirus antidote and said, "Here's a certificate. You can take yours off now." And they're screaming. They're like, "Well, what's in it?" "Oh, I don't know." "Do you know what's in your water?"
Yeah.
So, we've all got an opportunity, and whether we decide to get into those situations or not, that's up to you. But I tend to never let an opportunity like that pass me by.
No, I think that the problem is that I still have doubts on controlling my emotions when I'm face to face. I'm not talking physical violence. I'm talking being really, really obnoxious, and that's something that I would prefer just to test myself a little step at a time rather than wading straight in.
Did you just call me obnoxious, Woody? Did you hear that?
No. I called myself. I said my obnoxious self.
You're on the lads. Our definition of obnoxious, whatever she just said. I wouldn't bet on it. I mustn't do that. It's been really lovely listening to you, and you're an absolute asset to anything that you do, I'm sure, and I can't wait to see all of this. These people come, who they will. Once you've opened that door, And
fingers crossed.
yeah, they're waiting for you, and that's what you've got to think about. Yeah, okay, we're talking about going and giving a rock to somebody, but it's just that. Even if you just pick up a load of rocks and put them in your pocket and go and give them to people, and they're like, what are you giving me that for? We'll go on that website there, give them a little card that you've made of the website, and go on that card there, and you can see how you can spend that rock. See how what that rock does for you. I'm ministering to the congregation, the universal law, and I'm giving you the solution to whatever it
It's
is.
funny because sorry, go on.
Matter.
What I was going to say were it's quite amusing because many years ago I worked selling insurance for one of my sins. And one of the things that we were pushed to do was to try and get referrals. And story that we were told during training, and this sticks in my mind because it's a prompt. The rock is effectively a prompt. It's a prop. And there were one particular guy who were a sales rep, and he had the best referral record in the company allegedly. And apparently he used to carry around a lemon in his pocket. He'd go to an appointment and he'd sit down, and he'd put a lemon on the coffee table. And the clients would sit there and say, what's the lemon for? I thought this were about insurance or a mortgage or a pension, And the guy used to turn around and say, it's okay, if I forget it when I leave, just remind me about it, just in case I forget it. The lemon was his prompt. That once the customer had asked him about the lemon in the first place, that were a reminder to him to ask then later for a referral. So when it came to the end of the appointment, they'd say, aren't you going to take your lemon with you? Oh yeah, of course. So he'd lift the lemon and said, I'm glad you've reminded me about that. Now that's a reminder that I need to ask you something. I've done this for you. I need to ask something if you could do something for me. And then he'd ask, is there anybody else who would appreciate the services, your mum, whatever, your sister? So it was used as a prompt. So I have used things like that previously, so I understand how powerful something as simple as a rock could be to people's psyche. So yeah, good stuff.
Who did you sell insurance for?
Commercial union.
All right, okay.
That was, we're talking almost, it was 30 years ago working in that game. Young whippersnapper who were desperate for money and eager and keen. And now I look at that guy and I say, thank you for making so many mistakes. Excuse me.
Well, it's you sound like from Lancashire.
Oh no, wrong side of the rose as well.
I was getting wrong.
No, I was born in Barnsley, dragged up in Sheffield, lived in Scotland for the last 28 years. So my accent is not as pure as it would be. It's been diluted an awful lot. But people tell me it's funny, in Yorkshire, people tell me I've got a Scottish accent. In Scotland, people tell me I've got a Yorkshire accent. When I'm in Spain, I don't give them monkeys because they say, English. No. Always have to correct people. Really doesn't. I think it's where you're from. Does it really matter? Well, it makes your bones, and you keep what's important from that. Trust, community, caring about others, everybody being in the same shite together. And obviously that's all changed now. But yeah, there's certain things that I carry from back then, but there's an awful lot that I've buried. And I think that's part of growing. That I remember visiting Sheffield a little while ago, maybe 6 or 7 years ago or so. Went round my old haunts, bumped into an old friend I used to have, and we got talking. And he says, "Are you going to come along tonight?" Why? What's happening tonight? Oh well, we'll be in the club. Oh, okay, the working man's club. Yeah, the working man's club. Right, okay. And what's happening in the club? oh, so-and-so will be there and so-and-so, and he rattled off a list of names of people that I went to school with and I grew up with. All right, what's happening tonight? Bingo. Oh, yippee. And I think because I'd not stayed within that circle, if I'd have stayed there, that's probably what I would have ended up doing.
No, but
I'm not
instead,
saying,
Woody, you're on here talking about it, and people are dropping like flies, to be
oh,
honest.
sorry.
So, thank you for that wonderful history on on that regarding bingo. And before I go, because it's 12:15 at my end, is anybody else got any questions? There was a couple of people with their hands up, but they've gone. No. Well, I'm absolutely shattered at this end now, and if nobody's got any more questions, I'm going to go and call it a night. I can leave it on here if you want to carry on talking between yourselves, but really I'm absolutely done for. And I'm going to get up and do it all again tomorrow.
Thank you. I'm going. Kalinikta.
Kalinikta.
Efkaristopoli.
Barakallah.